What I'm witnessing at the combines, there's really one word: freaky. It's freaky. The athletes today that are prospects for the NFL are just freaky. I'll make this point to you. No defensive tackle was faster than my best times I ever ran. However, I'm going to get into why a lot of these kids, the athletes today you see that go into the NFL are just utterly amazing. Amazing stuff, man. By the way, we appreciate each and every single one of you coming here on this Friday. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Super chats go to the top. Thank you again. We are 2 days into the combines. We are 12 days away from the start of free agency. I'd say this to you. The more that Zach Bond has not been offered a contract, why haven't the Eagles offered him a contract? If you're a priority in life, you make that priority happen now. Why haven't you given him a deal? Why haven't you offered him anything? You're 12 days to training camp. Or free agency. Why don't you have a deal on the table? Now, you could have preliminary talks with the agent. That could be going on behind the scenes. I don't know that. I'm not privy to that. Okay? But the longer this goes, the more this favors the Myles Garrett deal. And I told you this the other day, that this is like a convention for the general managers and presidents of the NFL teams. You want to hear what's going around Indianapolis? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, 2 draft picks, and you can have Myles Garrett. Now, I'm not saying both. I'm saying one or the other. By the way, we got to start the program off, as we always do, with big sales. We appreciate you. Hit that like button. Okay? By the way, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are nowhere in the building compared to how great a player that guy is. You don't have a football player on your team better than him. I've said that for 3 straight days. You don't. He is the best non-quarterback football player in the National Football League. Do you understand that? And he's got 3 or 4 more great years ahead of him. Nobody on your team's better. Nobody with any brains in the NFL would say the Eagles have a better player than Myles Garrett. That's not factual. Year in and year out, general managers name him the best football player in the league. Know this. You're the world champions. If I'm Howie Roseman, you got to make me want to make that deal. Howie's not going to rip up a game plan that has been successful for him for just some schmuck. You're not going to be talking about potentially trading either a Devontae Smith or a A.J. Brown for just some I'm not trading A.J. Smith, as I said the other day, Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. I'm not doing that. That's not happening. Myles Garrett makes you invincible. Do you understand that? He makes you invincible. You're going to pretty much bring every single guy back and run it back on the offensive side. You get this. Let me ask you something here. Who do you think you can live without to win a Super Bowl if you got Garrett? Devontae Smith? Or Zach Bond? And you add Myles Garrett. You can live without Devontae. You've seen that. AJ's a different question. Plus, AJ's contract is a little bit more difficult to have to eat some of that cap money. Devontae's movable. You know why? He made it movable with the deal he signed. Folks, every idiot that posts, he's too old, I don't want to do it, don't be part of this conversation. Because your general manager's contemplating it. Not you. Because if you wanted Zach Bond, the week after the Super Bowl, you would have had him inked to a deal. The more this goes on, you know what the agent's telling his player? I'm not signing a contract, even if you put a contract in front of me. I'm 12 days away from payday. Why in the world would I take less money to play in Philly? Makes no sense. I can go out and test the free agent market and sign with Philly if I want. Why would I not want to see what my market value is? Why wouldn't the Eagles want to see what his market value is? Why would Howie want to negotiate blind? Now, I don't know. Here, who wants to see the market value? Howie or the agent? Or both? Why should Howie Roseman offer a $17.9 million contract for Zach Bond if no one's willing to offer that? You're negotiating against yourself. You're negotiating blind. 1-year player, 28 years old. You know what's funny? Some of you people in here believe that Zach Bond is not tradable. He's totally tradable. He's totally, hey, by the way, you know what the conversation is also in Indianapolis? That Howie just might walk away from each and every single one of the top 4 guys. I don't think he walks away from Becton. But he could walk away from Josh Sweat, Zach Bond, and Milton Williams. And get this, because he's after the bigger prize. Myles Garrett. That's the word going around Indianapolis. I mean, your general manager has not offered, and you're 12 days out. Now, look, could you see a rush of contracts being put on the table on Monday? Yeah. Could there be back and forth conversation going on right now with, say, a guy like Drew Rosenhaus about Josh Sweat? Absolutely. And I believe that is going on. And if you're Zach and you're the agent, you're trying to drive the market price up. We got so much to hit on. Please hit the like button. We're going to talk to Skip Holtz, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions, UFL football, the Rocks League. Is going to be starting up in a couple days. And we're going to talk to him. Yes, that's Lou Holtz's son. That'll be at 3:30. We will talk to our friend who's at the Combines, Jason Cole, at 4:30. Xander's going to jump aboard with us at the top of the 5 o'clock Eastern time. So hit the like button. Supers go to the top. I've got winners and losers that I saw on the first day of the Combines. We'll take a look at, I think today is DBs and tight ends. Not a deep group of tight ends, but there's some players that could be there for the Eagles to consider. Do me a favor and hit the like button here. Now, let's start it off with this. Hit the like button. Thank you, guys. The more days that this goes on, the more this is about Myles Garrett. And when do you guys think it's appropriate for Myles Garrett? This is what I think is going to happen. Free agency is going to start. You're going to lose these guys. Everybody's going to be screaming at the top of their lungs. This is where I think you make this Myles Garrett. When is the best time, if you're going to do this, to make the trade for Myles Garrett? When's the best time for Cleveland, Philly, and the player? Remember something now. He's got a no trade. He's not going to New England. He's not going to Tennessee. Now, is it pre-draft? Post-draft? Post-June 1? if this deal with Myles Garrett goes down, I'm going to have 3 months of content because I don't think this deal would happen until June 2nd. That's why Howie said, be patient. The team you see right now, he kind of tipped his hand when he was in front of the media. Remember what he said. You should be patient. It's going to look different. And the team you see, I'm paraphrasing, the team you see right now, this thing is going to be built all the way through the summer. He's basically telling you, if a Myles Garrett deal happens, it'll happen post-June 1. That's Andrew Berry and him talking what's in the best interest for the salary cap and restructuring of the $80 million that's still owed to him. According to Myles Garrett's agent, he'd be willing to restructure that $80 million. You would restructure it in Cleveland and then trade him to the Eagles. And then the Eagles would give back whatever they're going to give back in exchange, draft picks or a player or all of it. That right there is how they're going to do it if the deal happens. Okay? I mean, once again, this has got to be for both sides. Remember something. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are fabulous ball players. No one's debating that. That guy is a generational player, still in his prime. There's no conversation here. And your general manager knows that. Your GM knows that. Why are you trying to sell us a car we don't need? No, I'm not selling you anything. I'm selling you what your GM's doing. Diane Rossini, who's there at the combines, is saying the same stuff. That the conversation is that the Eagles now are the number one favorite along with the Commanders on landing Myles Garrett. I'm just repeating what's going on, and I'm giving you my spin on what your general manager's doing. And by the way, hey, Embrace, if you fucking love Zach Bond so much, why doesn't he have a contract on the table? Hey, I'll tell you this, Josh Sweat, I spoke to Drew Rosenhaus. There's no deal on the table. They're letting him walk. The Raiders want him. The Raiders are going to offer him $20 million. Bye. See ya. The more I think about it, we could play young trot if we had to behind Garrett and Carter. It is a big risk to let the guys walk while waiting. Hey, those guys, dude, how about this, Tyler? I want to know what I'm worth. Wouldn't you? I don't give a shit what M. Reyes says. What's going on? He has no idea what's going on at the combines. I talked to Alonzo Highsmith at the combines. I talked to Dan Morgan at the combines. I spoke to Carl Dunbar, who worked out the D-line guys. I spoke to Alfredo Roberts, who worked out the tight ends. I talked to people who are there. The fuck does M. Reyes know? Okay? Your general manager is trying to make something make sense to him. All I'm doing is telling you what's being said at the combines, and you don't like it. This ain't my news. This is your news you're making. You can say whatever you want. Your general manager's making the news, not me. Garrett doesn't have a no-trade clause. I doubt we have the best package. I like Jack Sawyer, plays with his hand down. He can stand up. He's an effort guy. JD3, he is. I think you can land him in the second round. Top of the second. I think you can land him. We're going to have our winners and losers here in a minute. I would make the deal. No, but it has to be perfect. Who would I trade? So let me ask you something. Myles Garrett makes you indestructible. Nolan Smith, I'm not sold on him. Why? Guy's paper mache. Same thing with that Nakobe Dean dude. These guys are always hurt. Are they good players? Absolutely. Absolutely good players. Paper mache. Always injured. You drafted Nolan Smith hurt. You drafted Nakobe Dean hurt. That's not going to change. That's their history. They're injury-prone dudes. Now, Dean played a lot this year, but his body couldn't handle a 17-game schedule. Facts. Every year he's been an Eagle, he's been on IR at the end of the year. Those are facts. Those are facts. You are not the same team if you lose Milton, Vaughn, and quite frankly, like Diane Rossini says, there's a great chance he walks away from all three of them. That's not me. She spoke to Howie this morning. And Howie said, it's going to look different. What are you not understanding or not wanting to hear? Okay? Dean got hurt in the playoffs. That is so not true. It's so not true. Dean has been hurt every year he's been an Eagle. Maybe it was the Green Bay game. Maybe you're right, Chuck. Here, Chuck, every year he's been in Philly. Every year he's ended up on IR. Okay, I think it was the Green Bay game, Chuck. You're right on it. Okay? For the record, draft picks versus Myles Garrett is a joke of a conversation. Now, would you trade A.J. Smith, part of a package, to get Myles? Would you? I would trade Devontae Smith in a package for Myles Garrett. A 1-2 in him? Sure. I don't think that's enough. But I think that's all I'd be willing to offer if I was Philly. A 1, which is 32, not the best. A 2, which is 32. And I would offer Devontae. Devontae's going to be the linchpin to make it happen. You can live without Devontae. You can live without that guy. AJ, on the other hand, the money and the player, not sure I want to go down that route. I can see Nolan Smith, a first this draft and a second. Here's what's going to happen, though, Scott. Cleveland's going to go, the guy's always hurt. And he's undersized. Nolan Smith is not a trade option for Cleveland. They'd rather go in the draft. I mean, hey, your general manager is thinking about it. He's basically tipping your hand or his hand and telling you what he's going to do. Nolan Smith's not tradable, and he's on IR now, and he won't be ready for training camp. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's not tradable. When we're talking Myles Garrett, who the fuck do you think Nolan Smith is? He will never approach. Dude, you're lucky if he becomes Hassan Reddick. He's a good player. For us, even having him in a conversation like this is incredible on how good he has improved his draft stock on being potentially traded in a draft. I'm not debating this. I know how this works. Smitty versus Myles Garrett. Are you fucking nuts? Ask anybody with intelligence in the NFL. That's non-starter. Bro, by the way, I don't know if it's enough to get a guy like that. I don't know if that's enough. You people fall in love with your players too much. You look like children with dolls. What are you, psycho? Gives a shit about that. True fans of Philly are so fickle, discussing passion, and just plain disrespectful. If I was Bond, give me the money or I'm out. Correct. Xander, I missed the super. Thank you, DC. I appreciate you. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. And again, end of the day here, man. We're talking about a transcending player. That's what we're doing here. Why would the Browns want A.J. Brown? He's a good player. They better ask for Smitty. A.J. would go insane with them losers. He's already crazy here. Okay? And they don't have a quarterback, which would drive him nuts. Absolutely. Smitty is perfect for the Browns. And like I said, anytime you're talking about a player like Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown or any of those guys. By the way, Nolan Smith and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, are you kidding me? Nolan is not in that conversation with those other two guys. They're durable. They're productive. They're great. You're giving me prospects and potential. Fuck potential. Potential is the most overrated word used in professional sports. That means you haven't really done anything yet. That's what potential means. When you put the word potential around Myles Garrett, you don't have a conversation about potential. You know the production. You morph into production. You don't talk about potential with Jalen Hurts anymore, do you? Okay? You talk about production. Those are great players. Nolan Smith is potential. Trotter, potential. It's all crapshoot. By the way, whether you like the deal or not, your general manager's thinking about it. Been on the horn with Andrew Berry. I know DePodesta. They don't want to trade him. They do not want to trade Myles Garrett. They're saying all the right things. Why? Well, they are not doing the Howie Roseman mistake of Carson Wentz. We're going to have an open competition at quarterback. Why in the world would you make that second rounder a potential and a where you ended up making that deal with the Colts where that if he played a certain amount of plays, it became a first round. Don't do that. Don't dismiss the potential that you have for a guy. Myles Garrett, in my opinion, on the Eagles, it would be a mandate to bring back Zach Bond. Your ends would be Smith, Garrett. Your tackles would be Davis and Carter, which is insane. Jalen Carter playing with Myles Garrett. I mean, what would be the comp? I'm talking NFL history. It'd be better than Reggie White and Seth. That would be better than Reggie White and Jerome, or as good. It'd be the best tandem you've had since Reggie and Jerome. That's a good one, Tyler. Sapp and Simeon Rice. Garrett's better than Simeon. Carter's not as good as Sapp yet. He could be. Reggie and Jerome. Anthony, I think Garrett's better than Simeon Rice. He's more productive. He's been on a number one defense. Um, dude, Sapp and Rice on a Super Bowl team, you got better. You would have, if you get rid of Devontae Smith and your first pick and your second pick, and you land Garrett, the Eagles got better, not worse. Even if you lose Milton, if you lose Milton, if you lose Milton and you lose Josh and you keep Bond and you make the deal to get Garrett, you're better. You're better than you were a year ago. By the way, every single person from Daniel Jeremiah to Diane Rossini, who's there right now in Indianapolis, believes this deal is definitely something that just might happen here. Zach Bond's agents in Indianapolis, he's telling people, his clients, going on the open market. That's what's being said there at the combine. Hey, by the way, I'm getting this information from others at the combine. I'm not making this up. Google it. There's sound bites everywhere. Why are you not believing this? Are you under the impression that Howie would make a deal like this to make you worse? You really think if you lost Josh Sweat, you gave up Devontae in a first and a second, you'd be worse of a team? Devontae Smith's probably the 60th best player in the league. Garrett's the first best player in the league. What are we talking about here? You're out of your minds. You can even make the comment that Devontae's probably like in the top 100 players, 80? Garrett's number one non-quarterback. He's number one. And you don't want to get better. Dude, if you lose Milton Williams and you lose Josh Sweat and Zach Bond, you got worse. How did you get better? Playing Trotter? Okay. He's not. Dude, there's a reason you drafted him in the 5th round. Okay? I mean, yeah. Sure. Okay. There's a reason he couldn't play over Oren Burks. And Vic wouldn't put him in. Why do you think, if he was so good, don't you think Howie would have wanted to play the guy he drafted in the 5th round this last year over Oren Burks? If he was so good, why didn't he start in the Super Bowl? Hey, by the way, you don't have to believe me. Just listen to the people at the combines that are reporting on this and asking Howie Roseman, who's watching all the players. Hey, I don't care if you don't believe me. I know what's going on. You have never been to a combine or talked to an executive like I have in your entire lives. You have no idea what you're doing. You're talking about a generational player. Don't fall in love with players. Fall in like with them. They are crazy. We can sign a number 2 receiver. We don't get the best defensive player in football every day. You still have a top 7 wide receiver in AJ. Top 7? JD3. Dude, did you see what Seattle's doing? They're in contract negotiation talks with sending DK Metcalf to Green Bay. Wide receivers are moved every day. Guys like Garrett are not. By the way, the Browns don't, the Browns offered him a contract extension. He turned it down today. They want to keep him so bad. He said no. They would have given him more money to stay. He said no. Okay? He said no. Why? Because he's wanting to play in either Washington, Detroit, or Philly. Dude, can you imagine the leverage you have in the game changing that you'll have if you're Myles Garrett? Plus, what is the number? Hey, guys, plus, what is the one thing that the Browns love about what I just said? You're out of the AFC. I don't have to see that guy again in my conference. Hey, by the way, if you lose, once again, Sweat, Milton, and you are, and Bond, you lose the three of them. You got worse, not better. You got worse. If you lose Sweat and you lose Milton and you lose Bond and you gain Garrett, you got better. You got better. Garrett makes you better. You could lose 3 players and get better. I don't think you want to really, you're not looking at this correctly. Howie Roseman is not doing this for any other player in the NFL but him. There's a reason why there's no contracts with your potential free agents. Hey, did you see what Khalil Mack just said? His agent and them already have a deal ready for March 12th with San Francisco. Khalil Mack's on his way, and it's a 90% chance that Khalil Mack's going to be a 49er on the other side of Nick Bosa. And I don't know where they're getting the money from. It's going to have to be a restructure. Khalil Mack's going to San Francisco. These deals are getting done now. So when midnight hits on March 12th, and you can start making these deals, that's why they fall in line. Okay? I mean, look at all these guys who are falling in love like you have a G.I. Joe or something. Fucking ridiculous. You look like children. Receivers are a dime a dozen. Thank you, Anthony. Dude, receivers, in my opinion, you didn't win. Get this, Anthony. You want to hear something crazy? You didn't win the Super Bowl because your receivers were stars. You won the Super Bowl because your running game was and your quarterback was. I mean, your quarterback was. You had the year you had because of the running game, not because of the passing game. You took the game away from the passing game, and you won a Super Bowl doing it. Garrett's generational, correct. Besides, as much as we run the ball, you don't need 2 top 10. I think that's the key right there. You don't. What's the point of having 2 top 10 wide receivers if you're 30th in passing? What's the point? What's the point of spending that money when your wide receivers, or you mean your entire passing game's 30th? I think I saw somebody tweet this at me. He goes like, "Hey, Sills, we're going to probably throw the ball more this coming year." I'm like, why? You won a Super Bowl not doing that. Well, we want to be more effective. No, it's okay. I agree with that. Want to be more efficient? Sure. But throw the ball more? Like how much? 20%? You're not going back to the Super Bowl. That's not how you want it. Why don't you stay who you are? Here we go again, going down that road. Why are you making Hurts fucking somebody he's not? Why are you doing that? How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button here. Super chats go to the top. Anthony, thank you. I'm with you, dog. You didn't win the Super Bowl with some high-powered passing game. You were a dominant team because you were fucking so dynamic at the point of attack. Your quarterback was great in the ball game. And your running attack was great throughout the playoffs. That's how you did it. Fantastic. Now, once again, I'm telling you what folks are saying at the combines. Some of you don't want to hear it because you fall in love with these players like they're your brothers. Nobody cares. NFL GMs move players around like chess pieces. Now, if you draft a guy like Howie, that becomes something more because you put a lot more time and effort and resources into. Absolutely. Okay? Dude, Devontae Smith in a conversation with Myles Garrett. What are we talking about here? Do you actually think Devontae Smith's like some Hall of Fame talent? He's not. He's a really good ball player. That's not a Hall of Fame player. The guy on the other side might be. That's a Hall of Fame player. I think. He's got a Super Bowl now, maybe. Like, Devontae Smith better than Antonio Brown? Are you fucking drunk? Not even Julio Jones. Not in that room. So what are you talking about here? He's a really good player. I love the kid. Okay? I do. I like that guy a lot. And one more time for the record here. Guys, if Myles Garrett's name is not the name, I'm not having a conversation with you like this. And nor is anybody at the Combines. Do you know what the biggest story is at the Combines right now? Myles Garrett to Washington, Detroit, or Philly. That's the biggest story. And Philly's in it. Why? Because your GM's always in it. Dude, I mean, that's who your GM is. Okay? Hey, get this. Remember this. If you don't get Myles Garrett and you lose Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and Zach Bond, you got worse this offseason. How'd you get better? Who'd you get better with? Draft picks? So you're going to take 3 potential draft picks, plug them in for Sweat, who was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl, Milton Williams, who was the 5th best player on the field in the Super Bowl, and Zach Bond, who was the best linebacker in the league, and you think you're better? How? And you're going to put Jeremiah Trotter in there for Zach Bond? And Jacoby's not playing in September. What are we talking about here? Myles Garrett covers those losses. By the way, I happen to respect Diane Rossini a lot. She thinks Howie's walking away from all 3 of them dudes. Haven't spoken to him. She feels he's walking away from him because he's going to make a swing at Garrett. Those are her words. Haven't spoken to him this morning. How'd you get better? Where are you getting better if you lose those 3? Explain to me. Watch this. You want to see delusion? If you lose those 3 players on defense, did you get better or worse? Let me ask you. If you lose those 3 players, I think you are. Did you get better or worse? Got worse. Worse. Watch this. There'll be somebody in here who thinks you got better. Okay? Worse on paper, but we had this same discussion a year ago. No, you didn't. You had Milton Williams and you had Josh Sweat in the building. Your linebackers were the issue, not your front 4. Next man up. Okay, who's that, Frederick? Who are you replacing Milton Williams with? A draft pick? Okay. Who are you replacing Josh Sweat with? Jalen Hunt? Not as good. I don't know what you're talking about. And who are you replacing Bond with? Trotter, not as good. Ojamo, get this. Ojamo is Says Frederick. Is not Milton Williams. You got worse. This is really not a conversation. Now, if you don't get Garrett, is Howie going to overpay? Or is he going to go into the draft? Hey, I'm just asking you a question. Your defense has got to, how about this? You got the right guy for the job. Howie Roseman. You got the right guy. By the way, I'm not making any moves. I'm talking about what moves you're going to make and what they're talking about and what free agency's coming up. There's no moves. Free agency's coming in 12 days. The players are going to go on the open market and they're going to test the market to see what their market value is, like any normal guy would. And you're going to have teams offer more money. And I'll tell you this, Biz, just because you're the Eagles and you have wings on your helmet, that doesn't mean they're going to fly home. Not when you got people like the Raiders, New England, Washington, who have $100 million in cap space to offer them absurd money. What the fuck you're talking about? There's nothing I'm saying now that won't happen. They're going to go in the open market and test free agency. Josh Sweat's not going to sit around and wait for some undermined cut deal where he's going to offer $12 million, where he is going to make $20 million from the Raiders. It's insulting. But because you're the champs, you can offer that. You're not replacing Smitty. Smitty had a horrible year this year, and he still won the Super Bowl. What are you talking about? He had 800 yards. All I ask is they get another running back if they trade Smitty to keep Barkley fresh. Completely true. That's why I was making the pitch for Chubb. John McMullen doesn't think Chubb will take a job that he's not the feature guy. I say this to you. Does anybody in here think that Nick Chubb is a feature back after the injuries? Does anybody believe that Nick Chubb is going to make $12 million in the open market coming off of a knee surgery? I don't. Make him your red zone LeGarrette Blount. Let him get his knee healthy. Sign him to a 1-year contract. Pay him $6 million. You got Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley in your backfield. I'm pretty good with that. You put him back there better than any other garbage running backs they got in the draft. And plus, the Eagles are not going to spend assets on a running back in the top 3 rounds. Why would you? Give me a count on the likes. I appreciate you guys, man. Yeah, I think this is real. You put are you paying Nick Chubb $9 million to come run the ball for you? You think that guy's knee's going to hold up to 250, 200, 300 carries as a feature back? I think his market is a lot less than what people think. I think you could sign that guy for $3 million. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to the NFLPA and see what Nick Chubb's number is right now as a market value. I'm going to the NFLPA. We got this thing we have that gives us market value on what we're looking at here. I got to put a code in here. Hold on. Nick Chubb. $3 million. $3 million bucks. Sounds pretty good to me. What'd you pay Gainwell last year? 2.5? Give me Nick Chubb. I'll take him over Gainwell. I'm good with that. Okay. I mean, and you're not asking that guy to go out there and carry 300 carries. Like I want Barkley too. Okay? I mean, who are you going to put back there? Will Shipley? Okay. I'd like to have another one with you, Anthony. I'm with you. Get Nick Chubb, a first-round draft choice guy. He's coming off a knee injury. Gives me about 125, 130 carries. That's all I'm asking for. And sign him to a one-year contract at $3 million, $500 more than you gave Kenny Gainwell, and I'm good. I'm good. Me a total on the likes. I appreciate you guys a lot. Okay. Big Sills. The linebackers and the defensive linemen, defensive tackles. 81 guys. Let's hit that like number, please. Appreciate you guys. Here are my winners and losers. We're going to talk to Skip Holtz, head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL. We're going to do that at 3:30 Eastern. We're going to talk to Jason Cole, who's at the Combines at 4:30. And we're going to talk to Xander as well. Please hit the like button. Here are my winners and my losers at the Combines. I'll say it one more time to you. I think the athleticism that these guys are showing today at the Combines is remarkable. Still, for me, game tape is the number one and the interview, and then the health. In that order. Okay? In that order. Game film, interview, and health are the three most important things when you're looking at a prospective prospect. Tape has to matter. I don't give a shit about a gym rat. Hey, congratulations for not robbing a bank. You work hard. You're a great athlete. You excel in your training. Well, welcome to the NFL. What do you want, a pat on the back? Congratulations. I'm not sure if I'm going to reward that more than game tape, though. Look at Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is the quintessential person. You fall in love at the Combines with a guy's athleticism. He's never in his entire career at Georgia or with the Eagles lived up to that athleticism. Never. He's not the football player. His athleticism is. It's never matched. Do you remember when we were having a conversation? He had 9 sacks in 3 years. He's not a productive player. He's never been. He was not a productive player at Georgia. He was not a productive player with the Eagles. And then they turned him into a nose. That's the equivalent of turning Mekhi Becton from a left tackle to a right guard. If you can't play a 3 technique, their envision of what Jordan Davis was Fletcher Cox, not Vita Vea or Vince Wilfork. I told you on draft day, that's the floor. And he's kind of that. Vince could play more reps, though. I mean, he's never been a productive guy. And this is a guy that ran a 4.78, had 330 or 340 pounds. It's one of the greatest 40s I've ever seen for a big guy. Everyone fell in love with it. Nobody's fallen in love with his play. There lies the difference. Nobody falling in love with the way he plays. I mean, those are facts. And they moved him the nose. If you offer Garrett and he doesn't take it, what is your vision of getting better when it comes to pickups? You're going to have to hit in the draft. Free agency's garbage. Or Matt, I'm overpaying for my own guys. Do you know what the Eagles' second best option is? If you don't get Myles Garrett, you have to overpay for your guys. Howie doesn't want to do that. Trades? For who? I'm not giving up any fucking players and high draft picks for Trey Hendrickson. No, thank you. I'll keep my guys. I won a Super Bowl without that dude. He was on the 25th ranked defense a year ago. Yeah, okay. Zero impact. Those 17 and a half sacks. I have no interest in that. Max Crosby, another guy. You don't build your football team from the perimeter in. You build it from the inside out. As long as I have Carter and I can re-sign Vaughn and I got Reed and I've got Cooper and I've got CJ up the middle, you won the Super Bowl because you were strong up the middle of your defense. You can lose perimeter guys, edge guys, outside guys, as long as you're stopping the run. All the teams that were great in stopping the run were playoff contenders. Can't stop the run? You can't have a good defense. It's impossible. Okay? You can't. What was one of the reasons? Get this. Okay. Get this. Look at what my logic is flawed. You lost Hassan fucking Reddick and 11 and a half sacks, and you were better because you were stronger in the middle, Twiz. How is that logic? And you got better at linebacker. Holy shit. Really? Well, that's not what happened. You got better at linebacker. You got better at playing the run. How is that flawed? You became the number one defense because of that. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks he does. I asked the question to drill that point. There isn't much of an option. That's right. I think you've got to overpay. We only are really getting better with Garrett unless we can shell out the dough. That's right, Matt. Matt, I think there's two options here. Matt, I think you got two. Garrett or overpay and keep your guys. Drafting, okay. You might find a guy. I'm with you. Guys, do me a favor. Give me a total on the likes. Please do me a favor also. Supers go to the top. Give me a count where we are. Don't forget, we're going to talk. We're going to have a cool conversation with Skip Holtz. That'll be at the bottom of the hour. I'm a big fan of spring ball. I'm a big fan of football anywhere. And Fox, NBC, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, ESPN have made massive investments in the UFL. We're going to talk to three-time champion. He might go for 4 championships in a row. Lou Holtz's son, Skip Holtz. I've known him since he was at Florida State. And his dad was at Notre Dame. We've had a relationship for over 30 years. I love the guy. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button here. Here are the guys that impressed me on what I saw at the Combines. Derek Harmon, Oregon, 6'4". Listen to this. 6'4", 313, 495. What's making these guys so insane is their vertical jumps of third. Just to give you a perspective, there's not one defensive tackle that ran faster than I did. I did a 4.8. These guys were about 4.83, 5 flat. Not impressive. But I'll tell you what is impressive is their athleticism. These vertical jumps. That's one of the most athletic things you can do is at a stand still and jump up 40 feet or 37 feet or 33 feet at 315 pounds is tremendous. The kid from Oregon could be a second rounder. This kid, Ty Robinson, ran a good one. He ran a 4.83, had a 33.5 vertical, 6'5", 288. I like that. I might get him in the third or fourth. I'm not looking at these guys as being first rounders here. I'm looking at if I see them on the board and best player available, where is he if I'm in the third? Are one of these guys in the third? I'll grab him. CJ West, Indiana. Indiana had a really good year there. They're bringing in some talent into Bloomington. Ran a 4.95, 33 vertical. This kid's 6'1", 313, a little undersized at the height. Pretty good athlete. That kind of right there is what Warren Sapp and what Aaron Donald. Do I see that? No. But fourth or fifth round, I'm good. James Pierce. There's two dudes I've been telling you about, and one of them's in my sandbox, is Pierce. I've been telling you this guy's name for over a year. James Pierce has had a really good, it's been a little up and down in the SEC. I'll say this to you. He's playing in the Southeastern Conference. That already is a two-star bell for me. Plays against the best competition, the best teams, the best schedule. He's at Tennessee, which means what? Great coaching. This kid's 6'5", 245, and he ran a 4.47. He's got a 31 vertical. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I like him. Him or Sawyer for the Eagles. If you don't get Garrett, I'm there. I've seen Pierce's name anywhere from 11 to 30. These stupid quarterbacks are going to push the list down. Now, remember something with Pierce. Again, like I told you guys yesterday, the one thing that Big Sills does, unlike anyone else, I vote on all these guys. For all ACC, all SEC, all Pac-12, all the awards, the Outland, Lombardi. I'm on the chairman. I'm on the board of directors for the Lombardi Award based in Houston. So I evaluate all these guys every year. Xander, I value his opinion. He's a huge college football fan. Problem with him is he just lives in Philly. Nobody gives a shit about college football until right now. But that gives him an advantage. More so than all those fake guys that are on WIP pretending to be draft experts. And by the way, I'm not suggesting to you that I am. I've just been around it and in the process. Like I would listen to Hugh Douglas. Ike Reese and them do. I totally would. They've been in the process. Okay? Here. Now here's a kid. What's his name? Xander Shamari Stewart. A&M. 6'5", 270, 4.59, had a 40 vertical. Here's my problem with him. His tape doesn't match up to that. I mean, he had 3 sacks last year. How is he a beast when his tape doesn't tell you he is? See what he said? Beast. Well, he's a beast in the workout gym, that's for sure. But is he a beast on the field? I don't see it. Okay, now here. Remember I told you Chop Robinson was a guy I wanted the Eagles to draft last year? Finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting. Had a pretty good year. He had 3 sacks at Penn State his final year. So, put in a Vic Fangio system, could he be more productive? Probably. RC3, Clint Hurt can fix that? Possibly. Yes. I'm just giving you an overall here. His tape, though, man, when you watch him, I don't see him like he's not an impact player. I don't see impact. When I watched Chop play, I saw him with his hands. I saw him setting edge. This kid Stewart kind of gets lost in games. You know, I mean, I like guys who stand out in a crowd. I'll give you one. Jimmy Johnson used to say to me all the time. Jimmy goes, I like playmakers. I want playmakers on my team. That's why Jimmy could take a Jason Taylor in the third or a Zach Thomas in the fifth and send them to the Hall of Fame. Okay, Abdul Carter wants to fall to the Eagles. I'm sure he does. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to go to shitty teams. Okay, nobody. Let's see here. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. See if you're right there, Spike. Let's take a look. So, see here what our guy did in his first season. He had 7 sacks. He finished 5th AP voting for Defensive Player of the Year. That's who Chop Robinson was. He finished 5th in the AP Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. Cooper DeJean, Brandon Fisk, Quinyon Mitchell, and Jared Verse. And he was 2nd in sacks for rookies. Chop Robinson. Spike said he sucked. Okay. All you need to know about Spike. Not very intelligent. Another guy, edge rusher. Colin Oliver. These are guys that I saw that stuck out to me. Oklahoma State. Little undersized, 6'2", 240, 4'5'6". I don't really like looking at Big 12 guys. Name me a defensive player out of the Big 12. Okay? Name me a defensive player out of the Big 12 you look at right now and go, guy's a great football player. Can you? Like just an absolute beast of a defensive player. I'm going to show you something else. Who? Name me a Big 12 guy. Okay? Here, I'm going to show you this. Here are the defensive players of the year from the Southeastern Conference. Dallas Turner, a starter. Will Anderson, a starter. Patrick Surtain, a starter. Josh Allen, a starter. Roquan Smith, a starter. Jonathan Allen, a starter. C.J. Mosley, a starter. These are the guys who have been the last 11 or 12 SEC Players of the Year. When I sign a guy and I look at this kid here, Kyle Kennard. Kyle Kennard I'm pretty sure he's going to be a starter in the NFL. Why? That's what the SEC produces. That's who they produce. Is he on my list? God, I hope so. Yes. He is. Here he is. Kennard. Absolutely. I'm going to take a look at him, but I probably can get him in the second or third. Okay. I like this kid Hunt from SMU, defensive tackle, third or fourth round, 6'3", 290. Could be a good guy in there for the Eagles. Get him in the third or fourth. Hey, Steve, don't cry to me. Let's see here. Yeah. The linebackers, I'm not impressed with. The kid from UCLA ran a 4.46. I don't know who he is. What's his name? Medrano, UCLA. This guy ran a 4.46, had a 38 vertical. I never heard of him. UCLA stunk. Who is he? Is he good? Dude, you could be a really great ball player on a shitty but get this. Look at Quinyon Mitchell. That was at Toledo. What? Who? It was between him and Teron Arnold. I don't know who this guy is. I have no interest in that. Now, you want to give me in the fifth? If he's there, do I take a shot? But I'm not signing the guy because he was a gym rat. And he was good in his shorts. If he doesn't have game tape. If this guy shows up to the combines and he runs a 4.46 and he's got a 38 vertical, and this guy was nowhere on the planet for his football team, which stunk last year for UCLA, what am I doing here? This kid Campbell from Bama. You know what I keep hearing from Xander? John, everyone in Philly. You know what I hear? How he'd never draft a kid. 4.52, 6'3.5", 235. It can fucking play. He's not going to sign him. Why? Especially if you lose Bond. Why wouldn't you sign that? The 32nd pick? Who are you expecting down there? Reggie White? Honestly, who are you expecting there? What are you expecting with the last pick in the draft, first round? What are you expecting? Somebody tell me something here. Okay. I'm going to show you what Kansas City did last 2 years. They picked down at the very end. They got that kid from Purdue, the pass rusher, and they got Xavier Worthy. You pick the best guy who's available down there. You just don't do this. Fuck that. I'm not picking the linebacker because we don't. That's not a plan. That's arrogance. If you're picking 32 and you lose a linebacker and you got a backer on IR in Nakobe, you take a fucking linebacker there if you don't want to spend money in free agency. How's that not sense? So wait a minute. I'm not picking on Xander or anybody in Philly. I'm just saying, how do you – okay, you got a linebacker on IR and Nakobe Dean, and you lose Bond. And you're not going to take the best guy available at that position of need, and he's the best guy available because you don't want to. Okay. Why would you pass on that? And you get him on a rookie deal at 32. Or you can make a trade with Tennessee, get him at 33 if you want to go, where you don't have to deal with the first round money. It can't be that hard. I mean, right. I'm not doing it because we don't do that. Yeah, you also didn't give $10 million or $12 million to a running back, but you did. I'll tell you this. Do you really think Vic Fangio is going to sit there, if he watches tape on this kid from Bama? I'll tell you this. Xander, the Bama linebackers over the last 10 years, I'm talking inside. Name me one. Hightower? Who else? Name me one inside linebacker from Bama in the last 10 years. They've all been edge and DTs. Name me a backer. This kid's the best linebacker Bama has had probably since Hightower. CJ Mosley, really good ball player. He's a free agent. Jets are moving on from him. So the Eagle mentality is the best player available at 32 would be this. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'd rather go find a free agent or UDFA. That's how you not have a good offseason. The most destructive team, in my opinion, Roquan Smith's a Georgia guy. The most destructive team that could be hit the hardest in free agency could be the Eagles. So, Reuben Foster was a Butkus Award winner in 2016. So we're talking 10 years ago. Okay? 10 years ago. I don't remember Reuben Foster as an NFL dominant player. I must have missed that. Again, you have the right guy to fix this. Okay? You have the right guy. Am I telling you that Howie's going to have awful offseason? No, I think he's got big change. How about this? Do you not agree that this could be the most challenging offseason for Howie since he gained back the general manager's job? Do you think this is the most challenging? Now, the Carson Wentz decision was pretty epic because you had to move on from him. Now it's a lot of money, and you ended up eating $33 million in dead cap. So that was a big decision that you had to make, and you moved on. And you did a great job with the fact that what you did with the draft picks. Look at the draft picks that you got in exchange from Indianapolis. Because of that deal, he recovered great. And you had the security blanket in Hurts. Okay? Think about this. Once again, Carson Wentz helped you win a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz helped you win your second Super Bowl. Do you know who all those picks ended up being that they got from Indianapolis? Look it up. Who they landed on in getting those picks. Hit the like button. Yeah, I'm not impressed with any of these linebackers. Except for Campbell. The Danny Stutzman guy ran a pretty good 40, 4.52. Had a 34 vertical, 6'3", 233. I'd take a shot at him in the fourth. I think he's a fourth round guy. Like, I don't know, third, fourth, bottom of the third, somewhere in there. Maybe. Like, do I think he's better than Trotter? Probably. He's faster. Trotter ran a 4.9. This guy's 4.52. This guy's a better athlete than Trotter. I don't know. I mean, Trotter's not very fast. He's got great instincts. Hey, by the way, Skip Holtz is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Always a great conversation. Okay? So, yeah, these linebacker guys, I'm not impressed with them. I'm impressed with the D tackles and the edge guys. A lot of athleticism. Look at this, 36, 32 verticals, 31, 40, 33 and a half. This kid, Stewart, from A&M, 40. Again, the only problem that I have with this kid, Stewart, dude, he's 6'5", 270. He's just not very productive. Okay? He's just not. Guys, do me a favor, please. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. Yeah, this kid, Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, 4'5", 31. Vertical, 6'2", 235. Teammates love him. He's a captain. I am in love with the SEC, as you can tell. If I were being recruited right now again, I'm not playing in any other conference but the SEC. I'm not going to even play in the Big Ten. I don't want to play against fucking Northwestern. I mean, I'm definitely not playing in the ACC. I'm not playing Wake Forest and Duke, NC State, places like that. Absolutely not happening. I'm playing in the SEC because if I can't start in the SEC, I can't start in the NFL. If I start 4 years in the Big 12, who cares? If I start 3 years or 2 years or 1 year in the SEC, I'm going to the NFL. That's why every year, the majority of the kids, hey, if you think about it, look at the great players that are playing in the game today. They're all Southeastern Conference guys. The top flight guys, Garrett. I mean, the quarterbacks aside, where do all the top wideouts come from? Ohio State, not the Big Ten, and the SEC. I mean, they play against the best. They get the best coaching. They have the best facilities. If you've ever been to Tennessee in Knoxville, or you've ever been to Tuscaloosa and you've seen those facilities, I'm sure Xander's been. Xander, I don't know if you've ever been to NovaCare. If you walk into NovaCare and then you walk into Alabama's facilities, you'd be like this. I can't believe the NFL has such shitty facilities compared to Alabama. That's what I thought too. I went from college to the pros. I went from a room that we had to do all of our press conferences in. It was tiered. It was beautiful. It was an auditorium at Miami. I got to the Bucks. I was in a trailer. I was like, this is pro ball. The weight room was as big as a 500 square foot room. I couldn't believe it. It's crazy. Yeah, so, I mean, if you're doing any of that, you're in a position where, again, and you're being recruited, you want to go where the best kids in the country are. That's what you're doing. You're looking to go and look, I'm not saying that the Big Ten is not a place to go. They had a great year this past season. They really did. They had a great year this past year, but the majority of the time, if you're looking for scouting and you're looking to recruit, you want to have guys who, in my opinion, have been coached by the best coaches in the country. Coaching, evaluating, evaluators. That's why all of those schools spend millions of dollars, and that's why you're seeing the SEC one of the most successful conferences there is because of all the money that they spend when it comes to player resources. Okay? Hit the like button. We're going to try to catch up here with Skip Holtz. Hopefully we can catch up with Coach here in a second here. I see he's trying to connect with us here a little bit. And as you know, we're big fans of football. We're big fans of spring football. And we are absolutely, we had The Rock on a couple years ago, about a year ago. We had Dwayne Johnson on. So hopefully we're going to be able to catch up with our friend Skip Holtz here. By the way, hit the like button here. So again, the combines, in my opinion, I think they were absolutely showing us a lot of the athleticism that you're seeing. These kids with 30-inch vertical jumps and 40 verticals, man. And the training that goes into the guys is incredible. It's absolutely incredible in what they're doing here. Today is DBs and the tight ends. I'm not a real fan of what the tight ends look like right now. So we're trying to connect with Skip. I believe we're not there yet, are we, Xander? I don't believe we're there yet on getting connected with Skip here. So we're trying to get connected. Skip's going for his 4th championship in a row. Was USFL, then it was USFL twice, if I'm not mistaken. Then it was the UFL last year when it all merged. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he had like 15 guys end up signing to NFL contracts and also NFL training camps. It's a really great league, and it's getting better and better all the time. Hey, RC3 goes, Sills, can you get Baldy on the show? Well, you missed him. He was on 2 days ago. So again, please hit the like button. Here's some of the guys to keep an eye on for today. As you look at how many people like the combines? I love the combines because you get a sense of understanding where the athleticism is with the guys. But at the end of the day, remember, the tape matters the most. Okay? Here are my guys today to keep an eye on. Travis Hunter, obviously. Now, I put a grade by him, and I got these grades from Alonzo Highsmith, who's the director of personnel up in New England. So I got a grade for him. Sills Wardrobe, worse than Doug Funny. Sure. Travis Hunter, number 2 prospect in the draft from Colorado. A comparison? Is he like Dion? He's the most athletic DB I've seen in 15 years. Is he better than Surtain as a corner or Derek Stingley? That I don't know. That I'm not sure. Okay? Like, Sills, do you think when you look at Travis Hunter, do you see Derek Stingley and do you see Patrick Surtain? I don't think so. I don't know. I see the athleticism that they have. Do you think he's going to be as good as those guys? I'm not sure. He's got the ability. He's got the athleticism to make that happen. But again, I don't know if he's those guys. Jahad Barrow, he's a first-round pick. Probably around the 10th or between 10 and 12. Best prospect in the draft. Texas cornerback. These positions are money positions. He's going to be between 10 and 12. He's a good player. Okay? I mean, his first year in the SEC, he fit right in. You know, when everyone thought Texas would struggle going into the Southeastern Conference, they didn't. They had SEC talent in their first year. He's a good-looking player. Okay? Will Johnson is another first rounder, probably between 25 and 30. From Michigan, has a national championship, was very instrumental, probably the best team or best player on the team the last 2 years at Michigan. Funny, Michigan's got a lot of good players going into the draft this year. They just didn't have a very good year, and they had a great moment when they beat Ohio State. He's a good player. This kid, Iman Amura from South Carolina. South Carolina's got some really good football players. I don't know why. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Xander, help me out on this. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think South Carolina was one of those bubble teams this year. I think he was a bubble team, and those guys were on the bubble. They had a lot of good football players. He's a good player, man. He's a safety, though. Malachi Starks from Georgia, about the 35th player. How do you take another safety? Follow me here, okay? What are you guys going to do at corner in Philly? Would you draft another safety in the second round? Would you move? If you move off a Slay and you put Cooper out there, would you sign a guy in the second at safety? Because I don't think you have a guy on the roster that could fill that nickel. Who, Avonte Maddox? Skip's having trouble. Can you use your phone? Use your phone. Pardon, guys. Xander, send it to his phone. See if we can do that. Having trouble connecting here with him. Hopefully we can connect with him here. I want to hit on him, get a conversation going here. Yeah, here's Chuck. Yes, Dan, South Carolina almost made the playoffs, but fell behind two teams. They lost to Bama and Ole Miss. Hey, Chuck, they had a lot of good football players. I mean, they had a lot of good players on that team. I'd like South Carolina. South Carolina had a pretty good football season too, man. They got a bunch of guys here that, without a doubt, with absolutely sensational. All right, guys, I'm going to read all your supers here in a second. I'm going to give Coach Holtz a chance to get settled in here. And first and foremost, I'm going to bring up a name here, Lake Nona. Okay? And so I get invited by Coach Holtz one day because I was broadcasting in Florida. And by the way, Skip and I go back a long ways. I believe he was at Florida State in '87. Then he was working for Coach Bowden. And then when he got the USF job, which, God rest his soul, Leroy Selman hired him. Okay? Leroy Selman, one of my dearest friends, hired Skip Holtz. And Leroy started the USF program, and he hired Skip. And Skip used to come on the program. I'd go down. We'd be in the box. I think it was an air conditioning guy that had a suite there. His name was Mike. And he'd have us go to the games. And he goes, yeah, I know you're a Hurricane, Sileo, and all this. But here's what I always tell you guys the story about Skip Holtz's dad. I want to do this before I bring him on. By the way, he's going for his 4th title in a row, which is awesome. I'm so glad he's working with The Rock now. But here would be his dad. That Miami team, I don't know. They just got so many great players. They got so many good players. These guys are so – and Jimmy Johnson would turn and look at all of us and go, Notre Dame is 8-0. What's he talking about? What do you mean he doesn't know? I don't know how we're going to hang with these guys. The speed they have, they're just so good. I love Coach Holtz. Played golf with him tons over at Lake Nona. I think he's on I won't say, but he's on one of the tee boxes, and you can see his house. right there on the tee box. All right, without further ado, the man who's going for 4 straight championships, and I'm a fan of spring ball. You see that helmet back there? I played in the spring. And I was with the World League at the time. The NFL owned that here, and he gives opportunity to players and gives them a chance to keep their dreams alive. Here he is, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions. And by the way, Eagle fans, this is for you because the Memphis Showboats was Reggie White. You're the Birmingham Stallions. How you doing, Skip?
I'm doing great, Dan. It's great to be on with you today. I love hearing the stories with you going way back when with Leroy Selman. Let me tell you, probably one of my all-time favorite people on the planet. I had said no to that job twice, and I went and had dinner with Leroy Selman, and it was done. It was like, you know what? How do you say no to Leroy Selman? He was just unbelievable. And like you said, God rest his soul. You were telling the story about my father. We had a dinner in year 2, right before we went to go play. It was the preseason before we kicked off year 2, and we were opening the season at Notre Dame. And to hear Dad and Leroy Selman talk about Leroy had never been to South Bend and how excited he was to make that trip and everything. And on Friday night, or for a Thursday night before we got on the plane Friday, is the night that Leroy Selman passed away. And I still believe to this day that we had Leroy Selman was looking over us that day when we took South Florida up to South Bend and beat Notre Dame at their stadium. So one of my all-time favorite. I share the sentiments with you on Leroy Selman.
Man, I'll tell you what. I remember that day. I was on the air, and I remember when you guys went there and you guys won that game, and we were all like, it was so bittersweet because we wanted Leroy to be part of it. He was building that program up. What a victory that was for you. And college ball was good. You were the head coach at USF. You were the head coach, if I'm not mistaken, Louisiana Tech, also at UConn. Do you miss the college game, or do you think the college game right now has just changed so much now? And with the nil and all that, even guys like Nick Saban don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna get our arms around the NIL and the transfer portal and find some kind of middle ground that works for everybody. I think one of the biggest problems is really the lack of governance right now, and everybody's recruiting everybody's players. I mean, the post-game handshakes, deals are getting done. Like, hey, don't get hurt the rest of the season. We're going to take you in the portal when this year's done. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. And right now, I think I've kind of found a sweet spot right now in this UFL. I think it's right now there's everybody makes the same money. These players they're humble, they're hungry, they want to get to the next level. They hang on every word you say. I mean, it has really been a blessing for me to have the opportunity to find here. And I've had some opportunities to get back into the college game, but the hardest thing I'm having a hard time doing is walking away from the UFL and the fun that I've had coaching not only these players, but coaching in this league and watching it grow.
Do you have more hands-on, you think, with the guys who are trying to get to that next level to the NFL? Or did you think it was harder to coach the guys that were in the college game? Because as you know, again, talking to a 19-year-old versus a kid who kind of had his dream dented a little bit, and here you are, Coach. I mean, you're here to go, you want to get there? I'll help you get there, but follow along with me because you've had great success the last 3 years. Obviously, you're going for your 4th title in a row. Do you find it easier coaching these kids than you did in the college game?
I think it's the difference between dealing with a 17 to 21-year-old and dealing with a 23 to a 28-year-old. I mean, you're dealing with grown men. I made a comment to somebody. I was on a curbside cafe in Cleveland year 1 when we had the championship game in Canton at the Hall of Fame. And I was sitting there talking to a guy, and he said, what's the biggest difference between where you've been in college for the last 35 years and what you're doing now? And a player pushed a stroller by with 3 kids in it. And I said, that's the difference. I mean, the guys that I have right now, they're adults. They're 25 years old, 28 years old. They got families. They're responsible. The 99% of them have been in an NFL camp or on a practice squad or even on rosters. I mean, we've had 1st, 2nd, 3rd round draft picks that are in this league trying to re-identify themselves. And when you see the guys that have come into this league and then had success, And I talk about a guy like Brandon Aubrey, who we took year one and was our kicker, who had never played college football, was our kicker for 2 years. And now he's one of the best kickers in the NFL and in the Pro Bowl for 2 years for the Dallas Cowboys. We have about 10 players a year that have an opportunity to make that jump, that make about 20 get into camp and about 10 make an NFL roster. And when you have that type of success, players see that. And the talent in this league every year has gotten better and better. And I can't say enough positive things about Russ Brandon and Daryl Johnston and the job they're doing, The Rock, and the job that they're doing putting this league together. It is getting better and better every year. And I've just, like I said, I've had my opportunities to get back into college, but right now I just can't say no to this league. I've had as much fun coaching here as I've ever had in my whole career.
Coach, you mean you're going for your fourth straight title? I mean, every year, as you know, all great coaches, Jimmy Johnson, your dad, you know, every year is a different chapter in your resume on what you're going to do. It doesn't really matter what you did yesterday. It's what you're going to do today and tomorrow. So, I mean, take us through this here, man. I mean, you've had 3 in a row, great years. You've been the champion of the USFL 2 years in a row with the UFL last year. Now you're going after another one. And as you said, the league's getting better and better. There's more commitment from the networks now. You're seeing more social media people. I mean, this thing's really exploding now. And that's why, I mean, I'm really happy that we're seeing something in the spring. But take us through this journey you're on.
Well, and Dan, it's so needed. I mean, there's 400 players in this league, and honestly, as this thing gets its feet set, there's going to add 2 more teams, which is going to add another 500 players that are playing in this league. And I think it could support 15 teams, 16 teams. I mean, there are so many quality football players that are still chasing their dream. And you think about that young man, comes out of college, goes into an NFL camp, maybe makes a practice squad for a year, and then gets cut. What's that? Maybe he didn't get the opportunity. He comes to this league. He has a great year. He balls out on the field. He gets his opportunity back in the NFL, and now he's still playing. And so I think there's a definite need for this league. When we got into this 3 years ago, I didn't know what it was going to be. And I'd never been in pro ball. All I've always done is college ball. I don't know what's going to happen. And I was scared to death in that opening game when we played Coach Riley in New Jersey. We were going to get beat 50-0. We found a way to win in the last play of the game. And all we've tried to do is win the next game. And yet here we are 32-4 3 years later. We've had the chance, like you said, to win 3 championships, but year 4 is a whole nother year. We've got 64 players in camp right now. We've got 34 returning players from last year's championship team. And then we've got 30 new faces. You're constantly trying to get better. And as there are guys that maybe fall out of the NFL, you're trying to sit there with a big net and catch them as they come down and then put them onto your roster. We just reported to camp yesterday. We've got meetings starting today, and we start practice on Monday. And we're going to try and find a way to win the first game. That's all we can do is try and find a way to win the first one, put this team together in 30 days, and then see what we can do 10 weeks in a row.
The Rock's influence on this league has been what?
Been huge. It's been huge. I mean, it's been wonderful. And as he talked about, there's 53 players on an NFL roster. And he talked about he was number 54. And there's a lot of guys in this room that were number 54, and they're this close to achieving their dream. And instead of that being over and them saying, okay, ball's done, you know what? They still have hope. They still want to pursue it. And there are guys here that may never get there, but they love the game and they want to play it and the lessons that are taught. And so it's just, like I said, you have a captive audience in this league with these players who are so hungry and eager and write everything down. And coach, now, do you want me to go inside that guy? It's coaching ball. And for me, when you're a head coach in college, you lose the interaction with the daily interaction with the players. But in this league, we've got 8 full-time coach staff members, and I'm a quarterback coach. So I'm in those meetings every day. I'm running the offense. I'm interacting with the players. You're back to teaching. And it's one of those things when you go to work at 8 o'clock and you look down at your watch and you go, how could it already be 5:30? Where did the day go? You're into it. It's active, but yet when you have a passion for what you do, I say this all the time, I've never worked a day in my life. I am as blessed as anybody to have the opportunity to be able to chase my dreams with a passion that I have and to work with great people. And that's all anybody can ask. If you have that, you can be fulfilled in life and going through what you do. And we're having an opportunity to make a difference in young people's lives. And from that standpoint, it's been very rewarding.
How about this, Coach? I got to ask you a coaching opinion here because it's a big debate going on at the combines right now about this tush push that the Eagles have. We're based in Philly, okay? So from a coaching perspective on how you see that tush push, it looks to me like everybody's kind of crying about a team finding a way and taking a play and utilizing it because Jeff Stoutland, who I happen to think is the best offensive line coach there is in the NFL, I believe he is. What's your take on the tush push? Should it be banned?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think probably everybody outside of Philadelphia thinks it should because they can't stop it. I mean, that's why everybody wants it banned. We can talk about the health issue and the risk of injury and player safety, but find a player that's been hurt on that play, and then we can start to talk about that. But until then, I think other people have attempted it, but nobody can do it as well as Philadelphia does. And so I think, people are going to try and fight to stop it, and if they can't stop it, they're going to try to find a way to get it outlawed. But I think right now it's a pretty, it's strength, it's power, it's old school football, it's rugby. You know what I mean? It's strength on strength. And it's like, put your big boys up in there, put them in the gaps. And everybody says, well, then they'll run around the edge. Well, you know what? That's the advantage to who has the pen last. So, I can't say until it becomes a real player safety issue. Right now, I think it's more everybody's trying to whine because nobody can stop it right now. It has been a very effective play for the Eagles, but nobody has seemed to be able to duplicate it as well as they do.
Coach, I got two more questions here for you. Help me because I'm still stuck in the old ways here about you have to win from the pocket. And when you're evaluating a quarterback and you want to be able to move the chains, I've always believed, and now Jalen Hurts has changed the landscape with dual threat. I mean, I believe you have to win from the pocket, but the kid shows you. If you get that versatility of a guy who's being able to get out in the perimeter, breaks down defense, and you being a defensive-minded guy too, I mean, nothing worse than seeing a quarterback take off on 3rd and 10 and get it. Yep. These guys today, am I still stuck in the old 7-step drop guy? Are you seeing more people that you're evaluating now that give you that dual threat aspect at that position? And do you think that's going to continue to grow in the NFL and in your league?
No, I think what you're seeing, I know there are going to be people that are going to argue with this, but as a college coach and being in college for all these years, college went to spread. When all of a sudden a group of 5 was trying to play a power 5, they said, you know what, we can't match up with them. So let's play the speed and space game and open the game up, put the quarterback in the shotgun. And everybody laughed at it and said, well, that's college ball, but this is the NFL. The more NFL games I'm watching, the more it's spread, it's quarterback in the shotgun, it's throwing bubbles and screens and quick game and doing some of that. But I think the versatility of an athletic quarterback is damn near unstoppable. And I say that because 2 years ago we had Alex Magoo, who did as much with his feet as he did with his arm, and then he ended up with the Packers. And then last year we had Adrian Martinez from Nebraska, who did the same thing and became the league MVP because he was able to use his feet and his arm. Now, I think just having an athletic quarterback doesn't make it work. I still think you have to sit back there behind the line and you have to make the throws. And if you can't throw the ball accurate enough, then I don't think it works. You can't just be an athlete and run around. I think it works because you have to be able to throw the ball accurately enough with enough velocity to be a pocket passer. But once you can do that, when it breaks down, the big difference in calling 2nd and 17 and calling 2nd and 1 because your quarterback got out and was able to scramble around and make something happen with his feet.
All right, Coach. I mean, I'm reading here that you guys are having I guess when you have success, Coach, people want to get paid. So I guess you guys are kind of going through a little labor strike. I went through one in '87 where we had to go through a player strike there. I mean, all this being worked out for you guys to be able to start practice next week, you think that's going to get resolved?
Yeah, I think, there's I know there were a lot of quarterbacks that were involved in this, but our quarterbacks reported. We've got everybody here. We've got one quarterback that's going to retire, and so he didn't come in. But the other quarterbacks are here. We've started. I don't know what's going to happen upstairs on the higher level. They don't come down here and ask me those questions. But with where I am right, we've started our meetings. We start practice on Monday. We've got everybody here. So we're moving forward. Like, we're going to put the ball on the tee and we're going to start practicing, and the quarterbacks are here. So I know that that's labor negotiations, and that's at a higher level that doesn't include me. But right now, I feel really good that everything's going to get resolved, and we're going to start practice on Monday. We're certainly going forward that way.
I'm looking forward to it again, Coach. Like I told you, I'm a fan of spring ball, and all the networks are behind it. You saw 100+ million people watch the Super Bowl. I mean, there's definitely an appetite for it. I'm looking forward to it. And Coach, I'm rooting for you, man. 4 straight. But I want an undefeated season. Yeah. Okay, I'd like an undefeated season this year to cap it off for you. Yeah. To put forth. Now, do you give these guys four diamonds in the ring when you get it? Is that what this is too?
Well, the 3 has 3 trophies on it. You know, the 2 had 2, the 3 had 3. I don't know what 4 is going to be. We're going to get that here at the opening game when we get back to Birmingham. We play Arlington the 3rd week of the season. We'll have a ring ceremony. But you know what? The bullseye keeps getting bigger. And I go back to John Wooden's comment that we said, to all my friends, I wish them a national championship. And to all my enemies, I wish them 2. Because now you've set a standard that can't be held up every year. So, you know, when we were going for the 3-peat last year and the 2 leagues merged, and I mean, it has been very competitive. It's a really high quality of football. You know, I guess the 2 11-1s and the 10-2 isn't good enough. We got to find a way to make the 12-0 now. But it has been, like I said, it's been great, and it's fun to wear that target. It's fun to wear that bullseye, but it also comes with the responsibility that, you know what, we just got to be a little bit better, and we can't get stuck on what we've accomplished and what we've done. And last year was a great run, and it was a phenomenal season, but that was last year's team. This is this year's team, new chapter, new players, new leaders, new opponents with what we're doing. They've got new players. Everybody's trying to get better. So it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's a great league. There's great coaches in this league. There's great players in this league. It's going to be a real challenge for us, but one that we're looking forward to and ready to get started with on Monday.
I want one last one with you. Coach, you were there in '87 with FSU. Do you think you'll ever see in your life a football field that you had with the '87 FSU Noles and the '87 Canes? Do you think you'll ever see talent like that again on a football field with coaching and with the amount of players that we had with Coach Bowden and Coach Johnson on the field?
Yeah, I think that was a special time. And then you go back and start talking about the Deion Sanders and the Sammy Smiths and the Victor Floyds, and you could go through Terry Anthony and all the great players that were involved in both of those teams on those games were just incredible. But it reminded me when I was at Notre Dame and we played Miami. It was and at Notre Dame we had the Jerome Bettis and Ricky Waters and Rick Meyer, and you know what I mean. And those were classics. I mean, instant classics, 1 versus 2, heavy hitters. I mean, just great college football games. And you had a couple teams that were dynasties at that point. I think it's getting harder and harder to do that, especially now with the transfer portal and the balance of depth that goes around everything. It's not just recruiting, because a lot of your 2s leave to go be 1 someplace else, and it's hard to develop that today. But back in the day, boy, there were some dynasties and some heavy hitters. And Bobby Bowden, I mean, one of my, just the respect I have for him, the whole Bowden family, the joys I had coaching with that family and that team. What great memories for me to have an opportunity, even though I was just a GA. Boy, what a great learning experience for me to learn from just a Hall of Famer like that. And then to have an opportunity to coach with my father for not only the 4 years at Notre Dame, but the 5 years at South Carolina as well.
You know, Coach, I'll always remember this, and God rest his soul. I became better friends with Jerry Fouts after I took a recruiting trip to Notre Dame. I think you were probably a student still at Notre Dame when he was coaching that team. And I'll never forget, we beat Notre Dame like 58-7, and it started all that crap with Notre Dame and Miami. I went to a Catholic school my whole life, right? So I go back up home, And my nuns and my teachers go, "You beat Notre Dame like that?
That
How
bad?
dare you?" And I'm like, wait a minute. They used to kill us 77-0. What are you talking about here? It was really a great rivalry between Notre Dame and Miami at that time. Probably got a little too over the top, though, a little bit, but that was really when college football was at its best.
I would agree with that. And what great games. And to have the 88 game come down to the way that it did. And everybody's seen the 30 for 30, the Catholics versus convicts. And I don't think anybody can do it justice or understand the intensity in the stadium that day and in that football game. It was unbelievable. But a couple, like we said, we talked about just a couple powerhouses. And no, when Miami beat Notre Dame like that, and that was Coach Faust's last game, and that was what brought in Lou Holtz. And then to have what, a couple years later, you got the Notre Dame Florida State game that was 1-2, and they had Charlie Ward, all those great players then. No, I'm just very blessed to have the opportunity to be part of some of those, and just incredible memories for me.
Well, you're creating great memories right now with the Stallions in the UFL. We're looking forward to it this year, Coach. I'll be rooting for you. I'll be sending a message to The Rock. I know that Rock loves you, and I know Rock loves the league. He's looking forward to working again this year with Danny. So thank you guys so much, man. Hey, thank you, Coach. You always find time for me. It's funny. I sent you a text. I know who you are. So, hey, thank you, Coach. Have great practice starting on Monday. I appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all, but I got a quick shout out. Boston Scott played for us at Louisiana Tech, was in Philadelphia for a while, one of my all-time favorites. But then to see Milton Williams in the Super Bowl, who played for us at Louisiana Tech, have the 2 sacks, the fumble recovery, the forced fumble and the fumble recovery. A couple Bulldogs having the opportunity to coach in college that are playing out in Philadelphia. So great to see it. Happy for the city, Philadelphia, and congratulations on all y'all's success. I look forward to talking to you again, Dan.
You bet. Thank you, Coach. Have a great year. Appreciate it. All right. That is our friend, Skip Holtz. I look forward to having Coach on again here, man. That's interesting, man. How about that? Milton Williams played for him at Louisiana Tech, and I'm going to tell you flat out, guys, I think that Milton Williams is going to be a big guy in free agency, and he's going to get paid. Maybe he throws Skip some love there with that. So great stuff. I appreciate everybody. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Hey, I want to bring up my great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in America, folks. Make sure you check out our friends at Morgan & Morgan. They've collected over $20 billion in recoveries for their clients. Morgan & Morgan's track record is absolutely second to none. I told you about the family in Pennsylvania. An insurance company came out and said, hey, look, here's $650K. No way. Morgan & Morgan went in and got $26 million in recovery for that family. There's a family in Florida that was only offered $350K. What happened? The team of Morgan & Morgan went in and ended up getting $12 million for that family. So if you're ever injured, do me a favor. Please check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan. For more information, forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Stills, hit the like button, guys. We will have Jason Cole from the Combines. That'll be at the bottom of the hour. We'll get his take on what's going on. And the Myles Garrett to Philadelphia conversation. Yeah, I don't want to trade Devontae. I mean, you don't want to trade Devontae. For Myles Garrett? Are you okay? Are you suffering from, what do you guys say to me, CTE? Have you guys been taking meth? Devontae Smith in a 2 and a 1 for that guy? That's what's going around the room. How you doing? Dude. Myles Garrett makes you better. The loss of Josh Sweat and Milton Williams and Zach Bond make you worse. Do you understand something here? If you lose those 3 guys and gain Garrett, you're better. Do you get that? You can lose 3 guys and get better. Dude, Zach Bond had a great year. He's had a marginal career. Now, does that mean New Orleans didn't know what they had? That could be. Okay? I mean, get this. Okay, you're right. So according to Flexen, Nolan Smith's a better player than Myles Garrett because he was on a 14-win team and Garrett was on a 5-win team. Yeah. Is that what you're saying, Flexen? Oh, here's another one. So because Jalix Hunt has a ring, he's better than Myles Garrett, right? Is that right? Well, I'll tell you what, Yale. You're not trading Bryce fucking Huff for him. You're not trading, hey, Devontae Smith. We'll never see the inside of the Hall of Fame unless that guy is buying a ticket. Garrett is almost unanimous. Unanimous. First ballot. How you doing? By the way, Scott Loeffler, your new quarterback coach. It's a pretty good hire. This guy knows what he's doing. Former, where was he before this? Where was Scott? He was the head coach, but he was at Michigan, and he's the reason that he was signed. I got a feeling it's because of what his connection with the Gators and with Howie. But he knows dual threat. And Bowling Green, he was the head football coach at Bowling Green. And he's worked with dual threat guys. He's worked with Tebow. He was on Urban Meyer's staff. Hey, for the record, has an understanding of working along with Cam Newton. Cam Newton was also at Florida. So he knows, like, the dual threat aspect. So when you bring him in as a coordinator, Howie's connection with the Gators and Urban Meyer, that's probably where that came from. Also, he was at Michigan. If I'm not mistaken, I think Brian Greasy and I also think Brady were in the building when he was there coaching with Lloyd Carr. I think he was on the Lloyd Carr staff that won the national title. So he knows the dual threat guy. He knows it's a good hire. That fits Jalen's personality, his style of play. The only thing that I'll say about this guy, he is a fiery guy. I have never seen a head football coach thrown out of a football game because of two unsportsmanlike conducts because he was just undressing the refs. Yale, look it up. He got thrown out of a game. So you got him and Sirianni on the sidelines. Big Dom's got his hands full with these two dudes. This guy's a fiery guy, man. Hey, you wait till you see him at a press conference. This guy's not for everybody. But here's the thing. This is how Jalen likes to be coached. There's no way, in my opinion, that they made that hire quarterback coach without Jalen's input. Because this guy here has worked with some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and at the college level. And he's got a great reputation. So he's been to bowl games. He knows the college game. He knows the pro game. This is a really good hire. I mean, I'm all over this. Except you got a very combustible guy here. I mean, he's not going to be, he's got a torch mentality. I know the guy. This guy, somebody starts talking shit. Let me say this to you. AJ starts getting lippy. That ain't the guy you want as your quarterback coach. Don't tell him to sit the fuck down. Scott's not somebody to mess with. Okay? He's not, man. Like Buddy Ryan? Yeah, man, he's okay. Yeah, this guy here. I like him. Smitty's a playmaker? Really? So let me ask you this, Flexen. You think you can win the Super Bowl without Smitty? I do. What do you have, 60 catches and 80 yards? 800 yards? You were better when he had less numbers. Wait. What am I hating on? What did let's see what Devontae Smith did this last year. Let's see how productive Devontae Smith was in your whole case to win the Super Bowl. What did he do this year? Let's take a look at it. So he had what? Let's see, 2004. He had 68 catches for 833 yards and 8 touchdowns. How many games did he play? Because I know he was hurt. Had to miss 2. Oh, he missed 4. That's not 12 yards a carry or 12 yards a catch. That's pretty good still. If you prorate it out. 68 catches, 833, 13 games. Got banged up because of the style of play, in my opinion. Okay, targets were still high, 89. Not bad. Almost 70 catches. 300 catches in 4 years. Yeah, those are standard numbers, man. Let's see what he's doing here. 4 years, he's averaging just 1,000 yards. So he's averaging about 60 yards a game. So about 60 yards a game he's getting you. Being a number 2 guy, you think he could be a number 1? I don't. AJ's a number 1. You think he could beat Devontae Adams? I don't. Do you think he could beat Jamar Chase? I don't. Justin Jefferson? I don't. I've seen him by himself. Now, that was a rookie year. That's not fair. Dude, he's a good player. You think he's better than T. Higgins? Or Brandon Ayuk? I think he's like Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk's a fine ball player. Think he blocks well in the run game for the Niners? I think I think Brandon Ayuk's a good ball player too. I think they're a lot alike. Look, I like the player. I do. I like him. By the way, bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to Jason Cole again. I'm fading damn near every one of your takes so that or what you think this team needs to do is offseason. You didn't hit on shit last year in the offseason. I'm not telling you about doing anything. I'm telling you what's being talked about at the combines, dickhead. I haven't told you you're not going to do anything, stupid ass. I'm just telling you what you have coming up. You've got Zach Bond's contract. You've got Milton's contract. You've got Josh's contract. And you're in a conversation to potentially land Myles Garrett. It's not a fucking take, guy. It's called reality. What are you talking about, Steve? What fucking take am I giving you? Name me one fucking take I've given you today. Not one. I said you have the guy to make this right. What are you talking about, dummy? Help me. What the fuck are you what's a take you're keeping score on? Which one is it? I'm waiting. I haven't written down one thing you're going to do. Help me out here. What fucking take am I talking about? Not giving up Devontae? That's conversation, ass bag. That's what they're debating and talking about at the combines. I didn't tell you to do it. I'm saying I would. For Myles, I would. Holy shit. This guy just made this whole fucking narrative up. And I don't even know what he's talking about. Steve, you spent $5 on something no one said. Really? You were wrong. What the fuck does that have anything to do with what I said today? I haven't made a prediction. I haven't told you anything. I'm telling you what they're talking about. Steve, how you doing? Sit down in the corner, kid. Take your beating. How you doing? Still flipping? Sue. Flipping over what? Some dude named Steve? Okay. Yeah, I'm flipping. I'm flipping on what? Some guy with a fucking awful take that I didn't say shit? Oh, look at this. Steve struck a nerve. No, I enjoy how dumb you are. That's how I enjoy. I enjoy how stupid you are. I haven't said shit. Hey, stop crying, man. Fucking guys, you know what you need, Steve? Instead of a wrench, a tissue next to your name. So you can cry about all the bullshit people are saying about the free agents out there and you can wipe your little tears. How you doing? I want Jack back. Fucking Big Ben Sills. I struck a nerve with him. He struck a nerve. No, you struck a tear. Well, holy shit. Wait a minute. Here's Steve. I can't believe Sill said Devontae. I can't believe he said backbone. Backbone maybe he Big Ben Sills. He made me going on the free agent market and maybe getting $18 million. Belt Williams, you mean? Oh my God. Oh man. Here, Steve. Here's a tissue. You can fucking wipe your eyes. Oh man. You hear what he said? He said trade Smitty. No, I said I don't give a shit about Smitty in a conversation with Myles Garrett. Yeah, I did say that. Okay. AJ, probably not. Okay. Probably not. Sorry. Fuck. Fuck, I've never seen more fucking crying in my life over players than in Philly. Can't touch my guy Nolan. Are you crazy? I don't give a shit about Nolan Smith. I care about winning a Super Bowl, whatever that looks like. That's what Howie's telling you. It may look different. Okay? Hey. Look at Xander taking shots. All good. It's okay because it's Big Ben Seals. It's Big Ben Seals. These guys, some of you guys are still on the victory parade. That's all right. You guys still circling around down there abroad, aren't you? Hey, man. We won the Super Bowl. I know. We're at the combines, though. Oh, man. How you doing? Oh, man. By the way, one more time here. If I'm Howie, you got the guy. You got the guy to fix this. You're not fighting Howie. You're fighting dumb teams. Okay? You're fighting stupid teams that are going to offer these dudes big money. I mean, hey, get this. Hey, you want to see something funny? Take a look at some of the shows between Birds 365 and this show. Yeah, you know, I think I'll trade Van Helsing and Bryce Huff and Trevor Keegan and a fifth for Myles Garrett. You think that'll get it done? Maybe Miles Sanders. That can get it done. Myles Garrett? I don't think so. Hey, here's typical Eagle guy. You know, if we send Oren Burks and Avonte Maddox and James Bradbury in a third to Cleveland, you think they'll bite on it? What? Oh, what? What? Oh, man. Fuck. Why are you so smug, Sills? Because I'm an asshole. What, you just got that? Help him out, Sue. Help him out. Help him out. How come you're so smug? Smug? About what? I've never seen people cry more about somebody telling them what someone else said. And then you make me look like I said it. I never said using A.J. Brown and Devontae. That's what's being said by Diane Rossini and everybody at the combines. I never fucking said that. I'm not the one who's saying, like Diane's saying, looks like Howie's going to move off of all three of them guys. I never said that. Do I believe that? No, I don't believe all three. Do I think he would? Yes. If he had a bigger plan, yes, I do. And he actually even told you at the press conference, hey, be patient. We're not going to be done in the combines, the draft, free agency. He's telling you post June 1. If that deal gets done, it'll get done post June 1. And then all your little tears can you I can't believe it. You could drink your Rolling Rock on the parade route. Even though the parade's not there, you're probably still there. It's all right. Oh, man. New football year. It's always fun. Okay? Ooh. What about sending Jordan Davis and Tyler Steen in a trade for Myles Garrett? Senor, sweeten it up. Sweeten it up, senor. That's not enough. Senor, sweeten that up. Make me want to love you. Okay? Okay. Sorry about that. I drink American beer, dog. Don't. Senor, sweeten that bitch up for me. Obviously, a first and a fourth. So you want to send a first and a fourth, Steen and Davis. Both guys could start right away. I get another one and a 4. I think that, see, Davis is kind of for me, even in Philly, I talk shit on him, but I will tell you this. I think he had something to do with Zach Bond's play. I do. He's a tough guy for me to sign. Get this. Here's my thing with Jordan Davis. He's a tough guy for me to re-sign, but he's also a tough guy for me to let go. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Jason Cole will join us at the bottom of the hour. Then our boy Xander's going to join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. If Sills was the Eagles general manager, we'd be the Carolina Panthers. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what's going on. You've got 3 free agents that can impact your team, success or not. Do you not agree? Get this. Hey, senor, not saying you're not going to sign anybody, but senor, what do you think your football team looks like if you lose Bond, Becton, Milton Williams? We're not doing all 4. You lose Sweat, Milton, and Bond. How do you think your football team looks? You think you're the number one defense in the league? I don't think that's Sue. I do not. I do not think you implode. Okay? Charlie, where are you getting the talent from? So then Charlie is saying, ask Fangio? Okay. So he's okay with the replacements being Trotter Jr. and Oren Burks, because N'Kobe's not ready. Ojamo for Milton. Jalix Hunt, Sweat. And Trotter replaces Bond. He's good with that, Charlie. You think Vic Fangio's going to be good with that? Okay. 7-9? No. I didn't say that. You're too good on offense. So Booker's going to replace Milton Williams. Now, I like this. Sills, if we grab Barrett and Bolton, I think we're fine. Haas, you grab Bolton and Garrett, you're better. You're better. And I'm not telling you that Bolton's better than Vaughn. He's had a better career. And he's got more Super Bowl championships. And he's been in a winning environment. And he's been coached by a great player. And what else is important? He's 25. And then you get Garrett, who's 10 times the player that Sweat is. I mean, that's not true, because I saw the sound clip that WIP has about Diane Rossini saying about moving off for a big swing down the line. Not true. Once again, stop lying. Seals, I put a very competitive package together for a linebacker. I'd offer the package for both Bond and Bolton. I re-signed Milton, declined Davis's option. I leveraged the option to re-sign Davis. At what? 8? Okay. Yeah, I'm not giving him 12. Here's what I would give. Here's what I would. By the way, Zach Bond getting a $17 million deal is so risky for a 28-year-old guy who's had one season in his life. And Bolton has played 4 great years. He's got 2 championship rings and 3 AFC title rings. Who's been more successful? He has. Well, Sills, he played and had Chris Jones in front of him. Well, who'd Zach Bond have in front of him? He had Jalen Carter in front of him. I mean, Bolton's younger. That is a great fucking take. Grand Slam take of the day. Kyle, give me the Bradbury deal after he had the All-Pro year, Bradbury. Kyle, give me what the numbers were. That is a great take. Right there. You thought that guy was a great corner. What'd you end up giving him? You ended up giving that guy number that is $11 to $13 million. Before I get Jason Cole in here, Kyle, what was that number you gave James Bradbury off of a 1-year deal? You gave him a contract because he made the Pro Bowl based on one deal, 1 year. Here it is. You gave James Bradbury 3 years, almost $40 million. And then the next year he was a turd. Then the year after that, he was a turd. You want to do that to Bond? How do you know he's coming back? Especially if you lose Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. All right. Great take, Kyle. Dude, I like guys who have played 3 or 4 years so you know who they are, not what you maybe think they're going to be. That's not what the league is, especially with a 28-year-old player. 25? Then I'm talking about potential. I'm not talking potential at 28. All right. Dude, the combines are pretty interesting, but here, the only thing I'll say, give me the game tape on the guy. Let me have my interview. Give me the health of the player, and then I'll see how good he looks in shorts and how good he looks in gym shorts, and if he can jump high and if he can kiss the ring and he can do this and do all that other shit you'll never do again in your life. Me and Chris Spielman think the combines are a joke, but hey, let's see what my friend Jason Cole thinks about the combines, our NFL insider. So, Jason, the NFL combines, guys in shorts, hey, jumping high, running fast, how do you look at the combines? How much do you put into it?
Oh, I think it's absolutely the top indicator of whether a guy's going to be able to play football in the league. If you can ride a 40 time and you can do a high jump or a long jump or whatever it is, like that just tells me you're a football player. It really does. That tells me everything I need to know about whether you can actually line up. I just remember LeGarrette Blount running like a 5.2 40. I mean, it looked like he was carrying a refrigerator on his back, right?
Yeah.
And that guy ended up having about a 6-year career.
He was really good red zone back. And by the way, Jerry Rice ran a 4.9.
I don't think Jerry ran a 4.9. I think he ran a 4.5 or 4.6.
Oh, I thought that I don't think
he wasn't a 4.9 guy. He was probably a 4.5 or 4.6 guy.
But what I was going to say is I never saw anyone catch him.
Right. I mean, look, the value there's a value to the combine of verifying what you think you see. Okay. And also putting guys in order from whether it's fastest to slowest or, strongest to weakest or whatever measure. It's just lining up guys, right? It's not actually defining what their football capabilities are and understanding those functions. Okay. The real value of the combine is what you talked about earlier, getting medical. You want to know, this is a one-time opportunity where everybody lines up and you find out, is this guy healthy or not? What am I getting? How damaged is he? Because everybody comes into the league damaged, right? They played football in college. They're going to be damaged. You got to find out what they are and find out where they are in their life. The other thing is you want to see him as a person. Is this guy, like a real jackwagon that I can't stand? Or is he somewhere on the spectrum of all guys where I can handle this guy or not? That's what this is really about. The underwear Olympics, that's just for show. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Because like John Ross ran what, I don't know, 4.2 something.
Yeah.
Couldn't play. But Chris Johnson ran a 4.2 something and he could play. So, I'm not trying to throw everything out. Some of the data means something and some of it doesn't. But mostly what they put on tape for 2-3 years is the most important indicator of whether a guy can play.
Jason, Diane Rossini at the combines and plus a bunch of people are saying this. It looks like 2 teams are favorites to get Myles Garrett. It's going to be the Commanders because of the money, and also potentially the Eagles who are in the 2-hole. A lot of people like the Eagles. Would you make this? I'm trying to tell people this: a 1, which is the 32nd pick, a second round, which is the 32nd pick, in the second round. Devontae Smith for Myles Garrett. Would you do that?
Not if I was Cleveland.
Okay. So it's going to be. I'm trying to tell people in Philly, you're not moving me to do that with even that.
No. why am I doing that if I'm Cleveland?
What do you think it's going to cost for Myles Garrett?
2 1s and a 2. You know, and like Devontae Smith's a good player. I like Devontae Smith, but you know, I don't want to build around wide receivers who are about to, you know, like who are already getting paid. I just, you know, I can find those guys in the second and third round. I mean, I'm not trying to devalue Devontae Smith. He was a perfectly fine pick where he was taken. He has been an accomplished player, but I want cheap guys who I can build around. You know, keep me under the cap, then I can go out and buy other free agents on my own. I don't want to take this amazing asset that I have in Myles Garrett and trade for another guy who's on a matured contract. That doesn't make any sense at all to me, unless that guy's going to be a huge impact guy. And there are a lot of wide receivers in the league who are about as good as Devontae Smith.
Agreed.
I mean, he's really good. He's perfect in their system. If you're the Eagles, I understand why you paid him. I understand why he's on your team. I understand everything. There's no criticism of the player. But if you're Cleveland, he doesn't mean the same thing to you that he means to the Eagles. So yeah, I don't make that trade if I'm Cleveland. It's got to be, you got to knock my socks off to get this guy, because I think I can go get that from somebody else.
And again, I'm trying to tell folks that we're not talking about some dude. We're talking about the best non-quarterback in football. I mean, you could make the argument.
I mean, I don't know if he's the best, but he's the best who's available, no question. And regardless, he's in the top 3 to 5 non-quarterbacks in the league. He impacts your team. He makes your defense better. Is he LT? No, he's not exactly LT, but he's in a discussion of guys who change your defense that much.
How about this one here, Jace, with him? Because it looks like a pretty big talking point here going on, because there's no deal on the table right now for Sweat that we know of, for Bond and for Milton Williams. I said this: if you lose Bond, and Diane Rossini and everyone at the Combines is saying there's a chance that Howie is referencing even they may move on from all 3 of these. Well, if you move on from all 3 of those guys, and you land on Garrett and you take the swing, you got better. If you lose those 3 guys and you replace them with draft choices or free agents, you got worse. No matter how you look at it, that guy there makes your team better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, like the worst thing that people do in this league, the worst thing that teams do in this league, is overpay for guys who are not team altering players. You know, Ozzie Newsome said this years ago. There's basically, if your team is really, really good, you got 5 or 6 guys in your team that you got to pay them whatever it is that they want. Then you got another 10, 15 guys who you got to negotiate with. The other guys, you pay them whatever they want. They're you know, it's the 60% of your roster that plays on the league minimum. And so you got to think about it that way. You want 4, 5, 6 guys who are game changers, and hopefully one of those guys is a quarterback. And if you have one of those guys as a quarterback, then you're good for a long time. If one of those guys is not a quarterback, then you're struggling and trying to make up for that difference.
I got it. Let me go around with some questions on the end of it. If you're the Rams, are you really? They're supposedly meeting with him today, Matthew Stafford. There's another conversation that supposedly Stafford's agent, because he was given permission to talk to people. There's a deal on the table with Brady and the Raiders. I mean, what are you moving on from Stafford to? If you're Sean McVay,
I heard somebody say the other day, and it's a guy I respect.
I don't believe it. Hopefully, we can get Jason back here. I don't believe.
Are you there still?
Yeah, here we go, Jason. I don't believe that the Rams are moving on.
Dude, I can't hear you. Let me call you. Let me come back in.
All right. Yeah, I don't believe it. Okay, I mean, what are you moving on from, Jimmy Garoppolo? Hey, Yale, am I right when I say this? I think the backup quarterback in Los Angeles is Jimmy Garoppolo. That's where you're going from Stafford to him. I don't. There's no way. If you're going to move on from a guy like that, you better have a game plan. And you better have a guy and an option. I mean, Matthew Stafford is going to have people like Pittsburgh, the Raiders. Let's see if we can bring Jason back in here. Hopefully we can hear him. Jason, you got me?
I got you now. Sorry.
So you don't believe he's moving out of L.A.?
No, I believe the report from today that he's staying because what's the only team that gave the Eagles problems in the playoffs?
Rams.
The Rams. And why?
Because the QB.
Because the QB could look at that defense and go, I ain't scared. I can handle it. Even Mahomes couldn't handle them, when they got behind. Stafford could handle them that day. Now, I'm not saying that Mahomes is truly scared of them. Situation got bad. He couldn't handle the game. Score got lopsided. His offensive tackles got exposed. So, in a different situation against Mahomes, it's a fair fight. But with Stafford, it was a fair fight. And so you take your shot. You don't move on from Stafford at this point. I mean, you play it out for 2, 3, 4 more years while you can. That's number one. Number two, if you're the Rams, you can't get rid of that guy while you're fighting to keep your toehold on the LA market. Because
your point, Jason, to your point, the Rams, they've just made a post here that the Rams have agreed to restructure, and Stafford has agreed to restructure his deal with the Rams.
Yeah.
Now, there still could be something down the line, but I means really more so than anything, he's staying put in LA.
He's staying put. It's done. It was all to me. This was always going to get done, and the purpose of letting Stafford go out there was for both sides to measure what's the real value.
Yep.
It's for Matt Stafford to go, I want this, and for the Rams to say, okay, can you get that? If you can get that, then we'll pay you. If you can't, then you got to play closer to our number. It was always the intent that Stafford was going to go back. Now, maybe it would have gotten crazy. Something stupid would have happened. But, and I heard, again, a friend of mine, a guy I respect a lot, said McVay has a lot more, respect for Jimmy Garoppolo than he really lets on. Oh, come on. Jimmy can start games and help you win. He ain't Matt Stafford. If you're Sean McVay and you want to keep coaching, you need a quarterback who can lay it on the line for you. You want Matt Stafford.
Do you believe Aaron Rodgers goes to San Francisco?
No.
And you don't think, where do you see Aaron Rodgers landing, or do you see him playing at all? Do you see him in Vegas?
Maybe Vegas. I don't, Vegas. Look, I'll just say this. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are guys who really
oil and water.
Yeah, they're very different dudes. So, and again, Tom's not going to be there every day. So ultimately it may not matter. And as much as all of us think that Tom's, pulling a lot of the strings there, and everybody writes, oh, Tom Brady's doing this and Tom Brady's doing that.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Pete Carroll was not his decision. Sorry. I hate to break it to people, but that was Mark Davis. Getting Mike Vrabel he didn't have the final call on whether they got Mike Vrabel or not, because Davis was like, we're not doing the Patriots thing again. Right. So as much as people want to think that Tom's got a lot of control, he's got influence. He doesn't have a lot of final say. So Rodgers could happen there. To be quite honest, I think Aaron Rodgers has to have a little bit of a mea culpa with people and say, look, I'm bought in.
Did you say ayahuasca or did you say a mea culpa?
I said hi culpa. I don't know something like that. Yeah. he's just like, he's got to say, like, this really is important to me and it matters. And I'm going to be there every day in the off season, and I'm going to, buy in, and I'm all into it. Cause I think there are a lot of guys out there who say, what's he about? Is he about winning?
No.
Or is he about himself? And I like Aaron Rodgers a lot, but the routine has gotten a little bit old, man. It's gotten a little stale.
It is. It is for sure. Two last ones here for you. So you don't buy into Mark Davis asked him to come out of retirement, and Brady bought into it and said a little bit going, that's
the thing that the Brady Davis thing was, Davis needed a beard, he needed a shield. Okay. All right. And so he needed somebody to make it sound like, okay, we're really trying here. There's some promises here that Brady could maybe get control of the team when Mark passes on. I don't believe that league is going to really ultimately allow that, because Mark doesn't have any heirs. Okay. But you know how the league is. It's like, we're not selling to a player, unless he's got 20 billion in his pocket and wants to pay the freight, we're not doing that. So, but I think that Tom sort of bought in that the league likes him enough that they might let him do it. And I'm like, that's not really going to happen, but that's been sort of the talk. And again, Mark Davis loved it in the offseason when there weren't decisions to make. But then when it was decisions to make, Mark still wants to make those decisions, A, and B, when everybody starts writing, oh, look at the move that Tom Brady made. How do you think Mark Davis feels about that?
Yeah.
He hates that stuff. Because it makes him look like a clown. And he doesn't want to be clowned, because he's been clowned pretty much all of his life, even by his own father.
Absolutely. Absolutely here. John Gruden gets reinstated back into the Buccaneer Ring of Honor. That's not the story I want to throw at you, bud. Don't you think the NFL, and because of the temperature of what's going on in Washington, D.C., that the landscape somehow is trying to be smoothed out for John Gruden?
Are we saying that John Gruden's running for president in 4 years?
No, I think he's running for a job as the head coach next year in the NFL.
Yeah, he is. They're trying to smooth this back out and give him a softer landing strip. Okay, that's fine. It's probably part of the settlement, that they're ultimately going to have, so that he can get back in. And again, I've always said John Gruden's not really a racist. John hates everybody equally. Okay. And John is one of those guys, and he's sort of, like, in your world, what this is. Okay. And you do this a little bit, sometimes you're there to be a jerkball to just get a reaction out of people, right?
I think it's
I don't know what you're talking. I don't know.
All I know is I think it's my nature. I asked my wife who the biggest son of a bitch in her life is, and she looked at me and said, "You." I mean,
well, what she did? She looked at you and go, "Is that a real question? Is that an honest question? Is that really is that the question you're asking me?" My wife, and by the way, my wife would do the same thing. But John just he sometimes wants to get a rise out of people for no reason at all. Like, I remember going to a dinner with him at DeBarlo's wife opened a restaurant down in Tampa one year. My wife and I went. We got invited. It was very nice. And, he's a Dolphins fan from growing up. My wife was a Dolphins fan from growing up. And he starts, like, kind of questioning her about her fandom. I'm like, what are you doing? She doesn't know football the way you do. What are you talking about? I mean, like, John, stop being a jackass, right? Like, really, stop being a jackass to my wife about, who's a bigger Dolphins fan. Like, what are you doing?
Who do you know?
Yeah. So I mean, like John's not really a bad guy, but he's a jerk. Okay. And that's what and he does it for effect.
I love John Gruden, so I'm good with John Gruden here.
I like John Gruden too. He's funny to be around. He's engaging. He's interesting. But he's that guy who's, he's a Dennis the Menace kind of, an adult version of it.
He totally is.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. That's all right.
Finally here, Jason Peters, 9-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, on the All-Decade team, 2010's All-Decade team. He pretty much kind of checks off all the, was he a champion? Yes. Was he one of the dominant players? Yes. 9-time Pro Bowler. I mean, do you look at him as a Hall of Fame? Wait, I should say it this way. You look at him as a first ballot Hall of Famer, as one of the best offensive tackles?
Probably depends on,
the class, right?
Yeah, it depends on the class, number one. Number two, I got to look a little bit more. I've always sort of I haven't studied Peters' career completely. I do wonder, how much longer did he actually retire? Did he
retired? Yeah, you've made it.
I missed that. I missed that.
He retired at 43, believe it or not.
Yeah, and tip the cap to him, right? That he played that long. The stories I've heard about Jason Peters, amazing locker room guy. On that championship team, he's the guy who, and the importance of this. People don't understand. Not only was he a great player, but he was the locker room DJ. And people don't understand the importance of the locker room DJ, because music is both a great uniter of teams. It's also an incredible divider, because if it's always rap or it's always country or if it's always rock, you got problems in your locker room. You got to have a guy who runs the DJ and has a little bit of everything, so everybody's happy with the music in the locker room. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is.
Let me tell you, wait, before I get you out, I want to give you a story to that point. The stupidest thing you just said became the biggest thing in our locker room. So Jimmy goes on a recruiting trip, Jimmy Johnson. We have Winston Moss, who put rap music on. We had another guy, George Myra Jr., who put on country. We're in the weight room, and we're sitting here going like this, Jace. I'm going, do you think this thing's going to become a deal? Sure enough, there's a pushing match in the locker room. We get to the team meeting where Michael Irvin knocked out George Myra Jr. because of the music. And I'm going like, over effing music? That thing got...
It's the dumbest thing in the world, man. It is. All I remember is one of the first things I learned when the Dolphins went into Davie, to what was then their new facility in Davie, right? A bunch of the guys were playing rap, which is, fine. I don't ever question it, because I'm a visitor in the locker room. For the couple hours a week I'm in there, I never said anything. But I remember they did that. Marino goes out and buys the biggest boombox you can ever imagine. He comes in with Ted Nugent blaring over the boombox to drown out the rap. Okay. And so music becomes a problem. And and that's why you got to have a guy like Jason Peters who gets it. It's we're going to play a little country. We'll play a little rock. We'll play a little rap. We'll play, whatever you guys need to hear. But we're going to keep everybody happy and everybody rolling. You can't have one or the other, because then it's like dividing cultural lines. Instead of everybody's got to listen to everybody, a little bit of everybody's music. And yeah, it's stupid. It's the stupidest crap in the world. But it's true.
Oh, it is. I've never seen. You would think, Jace, the smallest and the stupidest shit in a locker room starts the biggest issues.
Oh, it's women. It's music. It's who gets paid. It's all that kind of stuff. It's not. It doesn't have it to do with real football. It really doesn't. It has to do with all the kind of crap that you're surrounded, because it's still a child's game, and most. I can't tell you, Jace, how many times I've been in a locker room where a guy making more money than the next guy, and he turns out to be a stiff or like a first rounder, the sixth rounder, and he ain't making the money. Every time that guy walks by him,
he says some stupid shit to him. Hey, man, what are you doing? What are you doing special teams this week? And you're sitting there going like this to the guy. He goes, when do I get my money? These guys, you know what they do? They talk under their breath, but it's out loud.
Yeah, because it's all alpha males who are like, okay, you want to fight? Good.
Yeah.
Let's have a fight.
I'll
And then
fight you over your money.
Let's have a fight, and then somebody actually wins the fight, and then somebody ends up going. OJ McDuffie tells that story about how he got into it with Daryl Gardner one time, and Daryl decked him on the practice field. Guess what? OJ got so heated he went out to his car to get his gun. Right? And he's like, and things had to calm down. Like, stuff can get stupid over nothing because it is a room full of alpha males.
I've seen, like you said, some of the dumbest shit. Jason, appreciate it, brother. Have a great weekend.
All right, man. Be good. I'll talk to you.
That is our friend Jason Cole. Oh, absolutely, man. I've seen some of the dumbest things. Like, you don't think wait a minute here. Bryce Puffin stuff makes $18 million. And you don't think now Jalen Hunt and the rookies won't say anything. But if you had and brought back, let's say, oh wait, I'll give you this year. You don't think that there was a problem with Josh Sweat and Bryce Huff this year? You're crazy. You're crazy. Josh Sweat's not coming back because Bryce Huff's on the team. You asked me to take a fucking pay cut? I was the best defensive player on the field in the Super Bowl, and you gave that stiff $18 million? And you wanted me to take a pay cut? And you want me to come back to that? Not happening. Not happening. You want me to come back to that? You tell me to take less. Oh, hey, Philly guys. Oh, you come back because of the love of the Eagles. Fuck that. You told me to take a pay cut. You tried moving me. You gave that stiff $18 million. And now you want to resign me? For what? $13 million? You want to insult me again? Really? The chances of Josh Sweat coming back, there's only one way you make that right. You give him $21 million. Then all is forgiven. Hey, you can have that thing go away. Stroke a check for 3 years for $62 million. If not, we're moving on. Hey, players are not going to forget that. Jason's dead on. That Bryce Huff contract, you're Milton Williams. I know different positions. You're in the front seven, though. And it is a different position. So I get it. You got that dude sitting out there making $18 million. He can't even beat out Jalen Hunt. And you want me to do this? Hey, I'll come back for 12. And you're paying that stiff Bryce McMullen? You're paying Bryce McMullen $18 million. Even poor Xander. Xander even does. Hey, he ain't good. Hey, John, I love you, but he ain't. Oh, no, he was kind of, John, he's not good. I'm going to start calling it Bryce McMullen. Woo! Hey, you hear what? We're going to bring Xander up here in a sec, too. By the way, so Devontae Smith, a 1 and a 2 for Myles Garrett. You hear what Jason Cole said? That's not enough why would Cleveland do that? Everybody in Philly's like, wait, Devontae, he's Marvin Harrison Jr., the second, the third. Like, come on, man. Come on now. And then the worst thing you can ever tell a Philly guy, because most of you guys are still on the parade route. You may lose all 3 of them dudes on defense. If you lose all three of them dudes on defense and you land Garrett, you're better. You're better. If you lose all three of them guys and you replace them with who? Nick Bolton? Okay. I'm good there. Get the two guys in front? Sure. Nick Bolton's had a better career. And he's 3 years younger. I'm good with that. How much is that going to cost me, though? And your edge. The greatness of Cathedral Catholic or Houston Christian Methodist University, Colgate. That's your end out there. James Hunt? All right. You got Vic. All right. What a week. Combine, too. I was telling Xander, man, all seriousness here. These guys are at these combines, man. You got a guy 270 pounds running a 4.58, has a 40 vertical. And you're just watching some of these guys and you shake your head and you're like, oh my God, the athleticism with some of these guys. Sometimes they don't match up. Like I said with Jordan Davis, without further ado, the man who has to every day when he brings up Bryce Huff go, come on, John. We bring our friend in, Big Z, Xander Krause.
Boy, you're ripping. You're taking some shots at Johnny Mac today.
I love Johnny Mac. I love Johnny Mac. I do. I love Johnny Mac. I'm just teasing here, man. You know me.
Yeah, no, I know you. You're just teasing. Even Jason Cole was telling you were teasing. You didn't want to hear it from him either.
Oh.
I'm here to tell all the Eagles fans today that no matter what Big Sills tells you, we are champions. And yes, we can still be on the parade float from 2 weeks ago today. Yes, that is perfectly okay if you're an Eagle fan and you spend thousands of dollars a year and you wait on wait lists to get season ticket and you've spent $1,000 on Super Bowl merch. If you do all those things as a fan and you put your time and your effort and your money behind your fandom, you can ride that parade float all the way up until next February, baby. And Big Sales is going to have to like it. You might not like it, but you will deal with it at the least.
So if you lose your boy Milton, Dolph, and Bond, how you feeling about that? According to what Diane Rossini is kind of hinting at, by the way, I want to preface this by saying you got the right guy at the helm to fix this. Not saying that, but her take is, and a lot at the combines is, remember what Howie said earlier in the week? He goes, you guys may not like what you're seeing. It's going to look different. It may look different even in the summer. We're not done. I'm telling you, I think he's talking, if he's going to make a deal for Myles Garrett, it's going to be after June 1.
Yeah,
is when he makes that deal.
I think they can designate it as that. I think they can. But no, yeah, well, listen. If Diana Rossini is right, then that means Howie going to get this deal done because Howie is a deal maker. All right. So you're talking to me about the guys that are gone.
I'll take it all back.
That's fine. All right.
He gets that Myles Garrett done. I'll take everything I ever said about him back.
If we get Myles Garrett, I will be insufferable. You will stop putting me on your program because I will predict this team to run the table, to repeat, to be the next dynasty, and it'll be hard to dispute until they start playing games. So, no, look, I get it. I get every side of it. I understand not wanting to part with guys you just want to ring with. I understand not wanting to leave Devontae Smith. I understand all sides of it, but when I get a report from a viable person like Diana who says Howie's willing to deal young players, that tells me all I need to know. Whether we like it or not, don't matter. Whether Flex likes it or not, or Twiz or Emre, or it doesn't matter. If Howie's in the game, that means Howie's in the game. And he likes this player. John has talked about that for years. He loves Myles Garrett. They love Myles Garrett. The organization does. And if they're saying they're in the game, I mean, I'm taking it at face value.
Listen to what Lane says about him.
Yeah, no doubt. So I don't want to say I'm saying getting rid of Smitty. I'm not saying I want to do that, Twiz.
No.
I'm just saying my opinion on what to do with Smitty doesn't fucking matter because if Howie Roseman believes that's what it takes to get Miles and he determines that's correct, guess what? Miles is coming to Philly. And I'm kind of with my guy, Devin Shanahan, in the chat earlier today, who was saying, I don't really give a shit who's on the football team. Go back and win another Super Bowl. That's what I want. And the GM has proven that he makes decisions time and time again that puts the team in position to win the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to sit here and whine about a player. If Howie believes it's necessary, until right now I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to trust what Howie Roseman is going to do, because I think he's done a good job of getting us to that game, 2 games in 3 years in the Super Bowl. You're 1-1 in those games, and you were more dominant this year than maybe ever in the history of Eagles football in the way you won the Super Bowl. So if Howie thinks it's necessary, look, go for it, man. I do love the player. I will be the first guy to love the move. Like, I know we're saying, I don't want to lose Devontae, but like, if they did, I'd be the first guy to be like,
but look who you're talking about.
Exactly. It sucks, but look at what we got here. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they end up doing, man.
Okay, it's February 28th. Bond doesn't have a deal. Do you agree with me? The more this goes on, and the more this gets closer to the 12th, that we're talking about this looking like almost all of these guys will be on the open market and will be testing free agency.
Yeah, no doubt. You get to March 12th and nobody's signed. You're at 50-50 that all 4 are gone. Maybe higher than that.
Wow.
Think about it. I mean, if
stupid teams.
Just think about it. You're going to let Zach Bond, who is a first-team All-Pro, hit free agency?
Unbelievable.
Somebody, and I love the way John phrased this morning, because I kind of brought this up. I'm like, John, what's the timeline on Bond here, dude? Like, we're getting close to the 12th. If he hits the open market, I'm not feeling too good about that. John said they're going to have walkaway numbers, all right? And they're very disciplined in this regard. They've done it. I forget the name, the free agent. I think it was TJ Edwards, Miles Sanders. They had a walkaway number. I think, who's the other guy I was thinking about?
DeAndre Swift?
No, it wasn't DeAndre. They had a walkaway number on somebody else. I'm blanking on right now. But anyway, they set walkaway numbers, and when it goes over it, they don't falter. Huh? I don't know. I forget who it was. I'm blanking on it right now. But so if it does get to the open market, they're going to have set numbers on what they'll go for each guy, maybe even not all 4, and they'll play it. They'll play it that way. But the one thing the front office in Philly is really good at is having contingency plans. And if me and Sileo are thinking about it on February 28th, they're thinking about it, and their team of 100 people, which is why they're so good, by the way, is thinking about it as well. So
they were talking this in September.
Exactly. And they're talking contingencies and what to do. And if this guy leaves, what can we do? They're looking at Nick Bolton. They're looking at everybody. That's the one thing I think Eagles fans should feel good about, because the front office has proven it. They've proven it. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm with you, man. The closer it gets to March 12th, based on our conversation yesterday, Sales, he's the one free agent I really want back. Like, I can live with losing the other guys. Yeah. I really think Zach Bond to be back. Think about it.
Because he's in the middle of your defense.
He's in the middle of that defense, and we haven't had linebacker play like that.
Nope.
We haven't, man. And what he did for this defense. I mean, you brought up yesterday that Jalen Carter was the linchpin, and I do agree with that premise, because it all starts at the line. But if you think about the addition of Zach Bond, while he wasn't the linchpin, he's what made you the number 1 overall.
He tied it together.
Right. You can't. Jalen Carter can be great. He can't make you the number 1 overall defense alone. And you added a guy with Zach Bond's caliber behind him, which, by the way, helped the secondary as well. And they benefited each other. But,
but what he does is, when you have a backer like that, you tie the secondary and the D line together, because you have a versatile dude that can cover and play in space. How many times did you see him in space going from sideline to sideline? You know why he was afforded that? Look at what you did in the Super Bowl. You didn't bring one blitz, and you got home all night. I mean, when you have a linebacker that could just run the field like that.
Now add Myles Garrett.
Blitzing.
God. We might not blitz once next year.
Bro, you added Myles Garrett with Jalen Carter, and if you were somehow able to keep Bond, you're unbeatable.
Listen,
Unbeatable.
I get it. Let me just push back on some of the great people from JAKIB Nation, which by the way, I love y'all. I missed you on Monday. Man, does it stink. All right, taking days off here. Twiz is like, all offseason, so talking about keeping our defense cheap. Now he wants a $30 million edge. That's 29. Bro, it's not us. It's not
I know.
me.
I don't know when he's talking.
It's Howie.
It's
Dude,
Howie doing
Twiz,
it.
do you like Howie? I mean, because Howie's the guy. Diana Rossini's not reporting this out of her butthole. I mean, she's pretty good, Diana Rossini. She's down there at the
He
combine.
spoke to him today.
Multiple people down there are saying the Eagles want to get Garrett. Okay, now if we take that and say, all right, the Eagles want Garrett, but they don't want Devontae Smith, or they don't want to give up Devontae, don't want to give up Nolan. All right, then you're not giving more than the Commanders can give.
That's right.
Commanders have better draft picks and just as many dudes
And
to
more
give them,
money.
and more money to give them an extension. So if you don't want to talk about the players it's going to take to get them, then you're not really in the conversation. And
No,
Howie
you're
doesn't
not.
play that way, Twiz. Howie is in the conversation.
He is. I believe he's even said it. He goes like this. I can't talk about a player under contract, but let me just put it to you this way. We turn over every stone.
Yes, he said that.
He said that verbatim.
He said
And
that.
then Twiz is
to our
telling
fans.
me,
Yes.
hey, Sileo wants us to go. I don't want you to do anything.
Listen, if they're in the convo, boy, he's gonna give them. He's gonna want them. He's gonna want to dance. So,
And I'll tell you, if I'm
Should be
Miles, what
good.
I would do, I would restructure my $79 million that I'm owed, and Howie will give him the bag of money. They'll drop that thing down, that base salary, and that guy will look like he's playing for free.
yeah. How about
And
this?
dude, you get a guy like that on your defensive, so you get Nolan Smith, and you draft an edge, and you fucking say you get the kid from Tennessee, and you get Smith as your, look at this. How'd you like to have James Pierce, Nolan Smith, and Jalix Hunt as your rotation along with Garrett on the other side?
We're not getting Pierce.
Because you'd have to give up the one.
Yeah, you're not getting Pierce. Even if you had the one, you're not getting Pierce. He's going high. I mean,
I've seen anywhere from 11 to 20.
I think Cole brought up a good point, though. I mean, everybody's crying about Smitty. I don't think they're giving up Smitty because I don't think the Browns want Smitty because the Browns are a team that's in cap trouble. So they don't really want a guy that, especially like Jason said, they got to build trenches. They need a quarterback. They're not looking for
But it's a cap-friendly deal.
It is a cap-friendly deal. I'm just saying they're not looking to build their team around that, and they're not in a position of, flexibility like the Commanders are, for example. So they're not really going to want that deal. I don't anticipate Devontae would even be included in it, but you got to talk about giving a good guy. That's what we're talking about here. So I don't really know who they would give. Maybe Nolan, but do they even want Nolan? He's going on year 3 of a rookie contract, probably looking for big money soon.
Picks don't make me move the needle because they're so low in the drafts.
I think Senor had the take of the day. Senor, what was your take, bro, on the he had Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
He had Jordan Davis, someone else, and the draft pick.
Tyler Steen.
Tyler
Steen.
Yeah. You better be signing Becton then if you're doing that.
Yeah.
Better be signing Becton.
How about this deal here? What do you make of this? Somebody brought this up, and I'm going to steal from them. What if you cut Slay? He clears waivers, which he will because it's a $12 million number.
All right.
You bring him back at $5 million.
Yeah,
Would you be open to that?
Yeah, we put out a short today on JAKIB during your show, Krause's 2-minute drill on Darius Slay. And 5-6 million. I'm bringing, here's the thing. Everything is about alternatives if you're looking at players like this. All right. Do you feel like you can get a viable replacement? Because remember, this team isn't climbing the mountain anymore. You're trying to repeat as champions. You're trying to maintain what you were last year and build on that. So
it's a narrow perch you're standing on at the top of the mountain.
It's very hard to stand there. So if I'm looking at cornerback, I'm going to let Slay walk and replace him with who? Keely Ringo?
No.
Isaiah Rodgers?
No.
Or do I give Slay the $7 million, put 3 Boyd years on there? Your cap hit's going to be a couple million. It's going to be a team-friendly deal. Let him retire as an Eagle. Give him more help with Quignon and Cooper DeJean and the other young corners. Even if he plays 50% of the snaps, is he better than the alternative? I believe he is, because I don't believe they're going to spend more draft capital on a secondary player. And I don't really believe there's that many good free agents out there that Howie would go and spend money on. They're not in a position to do that at cornerback.
And
So
he's going to clear the wire because of the number he's making now.
right.
12.
Yeah.
And if you're Slay and if you're Drew Rosenhaus, where am I going to go and where am I going to go to get $5 million? Carolina? Or do I go back to Howie?
Remember, Slay's not. What does he want to end his career in Carolina? No. There's a couple teams that Slay would look for money from. I mean, let's be real. There's not that many teams.
Detroit,
Remember,
Washington, or Philly.
There's also the family aspect that I think people forget, especially at Slay's age. He's got a wife. He's got kids. You're talking about 1 year. Should I go to Detroit and make $9 million? Lose $1 million, lose that couple million in taxes, travel back and forth, have my wife here, my kids here. Do I move them all for a year? All those elements are factors. Or do I take $6 million and stay in Philly and uproot nothing? I mean, I don't know. Everybody has different factors that they value for the quality of their life. I'm not going to speak on what Darius Slays are. I'm assuming that would be a factor in the decision. Exactly. So we'll see what they end up doing, but if I'm Slay, I'd probably take the deal in Philly. And if I was Howie, I'd probably bring Slay back.
What do you make of the new quarterback coach? I actually like the kid. There's a tie-in with Howie and the Gators. He was a former Gator coach, and he was there with Tebow, which means it's not so much the Tebow factor. It's more the dual threat factor that he's dealt with that. He's coached it in college at Bowling Green. He's also coached it when he was at Florida. He knows the dual threat aspect. The only thing you get with him is that he's a fiery guy, and you got Nick and him on the sidelines. Big Dom's going to have his work cut out for these two guys, because I'll tell you, I've never seen a head coach get thrown out of a game for two misconduct penalties. He got thrown out of a football game.
I know, that's fine.
I like the
fine because of Jalen. That's fine because of Jalen. Look,
Jalen wanted him.
And Jalen's demeanor is an equalizer for a guy like that. If you think this guy's going to be acting up as the quarterback, come on. In a way, he answers to Jalen. So Jalen is calm, cool, collected. In fact, I like that. I like a little fire. I like a little passion. I like big sills for that reason. All right? You're not going to get me to turn on a guy for that. So
no, I like the hire.
Yeah, I do. By the way, I like that he was, coached with Brady. I like that.
Coach Brady.
That. Apparently, he still has a really good relationship with Brady. Like, they still talk frequently. So that's pretty good. I mean, I like that.
Hey, you want to hear something else that I know about the guy? Let me tell you this. The only reason that Tebow took a visit to Michigan was because of him.
Oh, really?
Everybody has tremendous respect for him. And so there's no doubt, in my opinion, I think they probably ran this by Jalen Hurts and said, here's your new quarterback coach. And I think Jalen probably went like this. He's got a great reputation. I'm in. I mean, I do. And plus, like you said, Brady worked with who else? Tom House.
Yep.
Now he likes them Brady guys. Plus, I think he likes to be coached hard. I think that's why he is who he is.
I do too. I've been saying that. Don't give Jalen Hurts that soft shit. He doesn't want that soft shit. He wants to be told, and he wants to be coached. And I think that's a sign of a great player. I think that's a sign of a champion, a guy that never goes to sleep at the wheel. Always wants to improve and get better and work on his craft. I love that about Jalen. I think it's one of the best traits about him. I saw a video already floating around of him working in the offseason. I mean, look, not many people will put stock in that, and you don't have to. It's fine.
do.
But, dude, you know how many other fucking quarterbacks would be in Cabo right now?
I put massive stock in that.
I mean, that dude's working, okay? And it might be a couple hours, whatever, however much time it is. The fact that he is working shows you that it's not about the highs and the lows for Jalen Hurts. It really is about the process, the grind. He loves what he does. He does what he does every day. I mean, that's dope. I think that's great. And, that kind of comes from that line that Brady had. And I see a lot of that in Jalen, and I like the quarterback coach, though, just to get back to the point. I do like the quarterback coach. I think he's a good hire. I like what he's done at Bowling Green, too. I mean, it's not that easy in college world still to coach a team like that and coach them to wins and bowl games and stuff. So I like that, man. I like it.
How about this again? Here's the difference between Brady and Oscar Rogers. You know, he's worried about dumb other shit. Brady's worried about working out with Tom House. The offseason of what, you know what? I'll say it again. You know what made Tom Brady great? The offseason. His attention to detail.
Right.
That's what made him great. The season was just the payoff of the hard work. And that's what I think that's what Jalen is doing now. He's paid it off. The Super Bowl was the payoff of the hard work that he's done. Hey, dude, he's changed a lot of narratives, man.
Absolutely.
With what he's done.
Yes.
And it's not a one-year thing. He's done it over 4 years now, because remember what I told you, once he punches that ticket of a Super Bowl win, and then he's a Super Bowl MVP on top of it, all the stuff that he's done from the 2001 season, it's all validated.
And it has a different meaning.
It totally does.
Totally different meaning. You're right about that 100%. You go to the Super Bowl one time and you lose. Yeah, 1 year.
Yep.
All those narratives are correct. Now you do it. Now you're showing consistency and types of that. And you got over the top. I mean, you're right. I'm happy to hear you say that. And I think you're spot on with it.
What'd you make of the combines, man? Was there somebody that on the first day stuck out with you and stuck out that you were like, you know, wow, I really like this player here. He could be down there for the Eagles. Maybe somebody that you like. Was there somebody that jumped off the screen to you?
Yeah. So there's a couple guys I want to talk about that really jumped off the screen to me. And I've been doing more research that I was watching it before I came on the show today. Couple guys that really jump off, but you know, I was trying to figure out what it was about the combines that stood out to me this year. And then leave it to Big Sills. You nailed it in your open. That's exactly what I was thinking, where you come in and you're just like, these athletes are unbelievable. The way that these dudes run nowadays, you're talking about 6'6" guys running 4.5 40s, jumping 42 inches in the air. I mean, it's unbelievable. Some of these athletes, and you recapped it perfectly in your opening segment here today on the National Football Show. So that was well done by you. But a couple of names that stick out. I mean, obviously there's the two names, right? Shamar Stewart and James Pierce. Both of those guys had tremendous days. Honestly, their days were so good that you might be talking about they're not even a shot anymore at 32. A couple guys I think you could get at 32 is that Landon Jackson guy. I think he had a great day as well. He could be a guy that pushes up into that earlier first round as well. But I've also seen him in mocks in the second round. So he could be a guy I could see there at 32. I like the size. I like the strength. Another dude that has elite athletic traits in terms of the jump. You know, I forget they do that standing jump with the explosiveness and stuff like that. So,
vertical.
Yeah, vertical. Well, vertical and the what's the other jump? The long jump thing.
The standing broad.
Yeah, standing broad jump. So that was impressive from him. I really thought that was pretty good stuff. And then you know who stood out to me, who I don't know if they'd be a target for the Eagles, but that Derek Harmon guy from Oregon, he really stood out to me in some of those drills. Again, they're drills. I don't know what they mean, but just from the eye test, he stood out to me. I liked him. And that CJ West, that Indiana guy, 316 pounds, Sills, and he ran a sub 5-second 40. 316, and he's moving at 4.95. I mean, that's unbelievable. And then I'll tell you one guy that if they're not going to trade for Garrett, and they do want to dance and get a little higher in the draft. You want to replace a guy like Milton Williams. You want to create a double, a two defensive tackle tandem, potentially moving on from Jordan Davis if you did. That Walter Nolan kid, man, I think that kid is a freaking beast. I love the way he rushes the passer in the interior, strong, fast, great with his hands. I think he's going to be a really, really good player, and you're going to have to move up to get him. He's not going to be there at 32, but Walter Nolan I really like.
Yeah, those are all great names. I thought the Harmon kid at 6'4", 313 showed a lot of athleticism, and
yes,
I really liked him a lot there too. But here's the guy. What is it? Shamar Stewart. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's my problem with him. Okay. His tape doesn't match what I'm looking at here. He's a 4.59 guy, had a vertical out of the building. He's 6'5", and he's 270, which is unbelievable.
Right.
I just saw that with Jordan Davis. I saw Jordan Davis run a 4.78 at 340 pounds, and he's never lived up to that skill set.
Yep.
He's not productive. Now, when I turn the tape on and watch him and watch his film, I'm like this. he gets lost in the game. Now, Chop a year ago had only 3.5 sacks at Penn State his last year. He had 6.5 this last year, and he was in a different system, maybe better coaching. I don't know. So again, I'm going to look at that and go, well, Chop was better. His rookie year, he finished 5th in the Rookie of the Year voting. I liked him a lot. I wanted the Eagles to draft him. They landed on 2 great players. Okay. So when I look at a guy like Stewart, I'm like, okay, how could you be 6'5", 270 and run a 4.5 and jump 40 feet or 40 inches in your vertical, and you're not the best player in the country? I mean, are you?
I struggle with this because I completely agree with what you're saying, where it's like, why are you this incredible athlete?
Yeah.
And you have 4.5 sacks in 3 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, what's going on there? But, if you look a little deeper, he does lead. He led A&M in pressures. Again,
Okay.
It's not sacks, but he led A&M in pressures. So
It's SEC football, though.
It's SEC football. Again, exactly. I mean, you're leading leading your team in pressures is no small feat. If you're not always getting home, that's fine.
Yep.
The other thing is he's young, not quite polished. And, I read a draft guy that I think I agree with his line of thinking. And I'm blanking on his name, so I apologize for that. But, he tweeted out, I'm a production guy, but there are very rare instances where athleticism is so elite that you have no choice but to take it and see if you can hone it and get the most out of it. And Shamar Stewart showed that type of athleticism.
Yes.
Now, again, I'm with you.
That's 100% true.
Yes, exactly. So, but again, didn't you feel that way with Jordan Davis?
I did.
Look at the size. Look at how fast. You kind of felt that with Jordan. Now, Shamar was a different level. He was 3rd out of 1,800 plus defensive linemen who have tested at the combine since 1985. Think about that for a second. 1,800 defensive linemen who tested at the combine in their relative athletic score. He was 3rd. That's insanity. Cooper DeJean last year, we talked about how insane he was. He was 20th out of like 2,000.
Yep.
3rd out of 1,800. So insane athleticism, and then you look at Pierce, right, who ran the 40, and he had all the production. He was the guy who was getting sacks like crazy. So I don't know, how much stock do you put into that versus some of his traits weren't as good, a little smaller, a little undersized, kind of built like Nolan Hassan type of guy. You know what I mean? Do you like that better?
Pierce is 6'5", so he's
taller.
bigger.
He's bigger. Yeah, he's bigger.
Taller. He's not, he's
not huge though. He's not huge.
No, he's 245, which will look like
John. I thought John had a good point in this. He was like, you already have Nolan. Do you want 2 undersized edge guys, or would you rather get a guy with a little bit more size? Think about Brandon Graham, not the tallest guy in the world, but a great against the run. I think John might be onto something.
But how big is Josh Sweat?
He's not huge, but he's your prototypical edge rusher. I mean, Josh Sweat's probably what?
He's 6'4",
260, somewhere in that range.
So you're talking about a kid who's going to gain some weight, gain 10 pounds. He'd be 255 at 6'5".
Yeah, Josh Sweat's 6'5", 265.
Okay, so he's 20 pounds heavier. Okay. I think you could put some weight on his ass.
That's why I like Landon Jackson, Sills.
Okay.
I like Landon Jackson because he's 6'7", 280. And he's got crazy good speed, and the explosiveness jumped off the page. Like, that's a guy I think Vic Fangio would take and turn into a monster quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, but 6'7", 280, great explosiveness, which is what you want. And from a guy that's that big, I like that, man. I like Landon Jackson a lot right now.
40.5 vertical.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. His explosiveness is out of this world.
Almost
Add him with the guy like Nolan.
11 in the standing broad.
Yeah.
Which means he's explosive. Here's a starter. You know who this guy reminds me of, but he's bigger? The kid in Kansas City they got from Purdue. That Galifianakis kid. He's just bigger, though.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", 264, 270. I mean, you put him out. Now, remember something, though. Is that a Vic Fangio edge? Vic don't like them big 280 guys out there.
Are you talking about Karlaftis? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about Karlaftis.
Yeah,
the Chiefs dude.
Yeah. He's a great player. He's turned into be a really good NFL player. I was not sold on him in the draft. And wait, did you say Landon reminds you of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I see
Yeah.
that big time.
Just a
I
little
see that big
taller.
time.
Just a
And
little taller.
I'd have to look up what Karlaftis was like in terms of the explosiveness, but I don't know if he was.
The problem that I had with him coming out of Purdue, he didn't really start when he was there at Purdue. He came in as situational, but he's turned out to be a 3-down guy for Spagnuolo at Kansas City. So he's been, you know, he played into what they wanted him to be. And he's panned out for them.
Yeah, if Karlaftis had a 10-1 broad jumping a 38 vertical. So similar. I mean, you're talking similar. Yeah, a little bit better for Landon, but similar. I like that. It's good comp by you. Yep.
This James Pierce kid, man, watch him move around too. Watch the way he moves and watch the way he does his shuttle drill. I talked to Carl Dunbar about him, and he's one of the most impressive players that is at the combines. I mean, his broad was like over 10. He had a 31 vertical, maybe a little more I would expect at an explosion.
Yep.
He had about a 1.5 in his 10-yard split, which is really good, which means he's exceptionally quick off the line of scrimmage. He knows how to use his hands. Carl says he's really good at twisting his hips and getting around the hula hoop. You know what I mean by that? What you do is you put a hula hoop on the ground and you get the player to circle it. And if he can swivel his hips around it, you know guys who have the hip swivel to be able to make that around.
He's got tight hips.
He's got that's right.
Very tight hips.
That's right. And that means he can get around that offensive tackle, and you can get a gauge on that. There's certain guys that are
but conversely, can't offensive tackles handle that easier? If you have tight hips, they can just move you outside and make you no threat to the pocket a little easier, right?
You got to be able to lean.
Right.
Is my point. You got to be able to lean down and be able to get under the offensive line. So there's a bunch of good-looking kids. I'll tell you this. I'm not impressed with the secondary guys outside of the top 3 guys, 4 guys. I think the tight ends might be somebody. I know those guys are working out today. But I don't know, man. I mean, you know, if you were a betting man, now again, it's hard because of the Garrett conversation. But let's, for all purposes here, let's do 2 of it. With Garrett, where do you think the Eagles go in the draft if they land Garrett? Because that means you're gonna miss a 1 and maybe a 2.
Maybe a 2.
Right. So what do you do with that first pick in the 3rd? Howie's not going to stay in the 3rd. He'll move pieces around to get into the 2nd round. So because he's going to do.
Yeah. What do we have? What do we have? 3 5s this year?
Wouldn't you get Wouldn't you get another defensive tackle to help out Carter?
You would think, but they do feel pretty good about Moro Ajomo, and I do too. So I don't know. I mean, if you're going to talk about bringing in Myles Garrett,
how about an LB because of the Kobe being injured?
I just think this team is they're gonna want.
You're sold on Trotter, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm not sold that the Eagles are going to spend another asset at that position. Whether they're sold on Trotter or not might not matter. Like, I think they're going to, if you're talking about 1 draft pick in the first 3 rounds, Sills, it's going to be defensive line or offensive line. There's no doubt about it.
I think you're right.
I mean, that's where I have a hard time saying. I mean, secondary, no. Skill position guy, no. Linebacker, no. Come on. Even when they drafted Nakobe Dean, that was a huge deal. We spent a 3rd on a linebacker. I mean, they don't do this. So you're talking about taking away those first couple picks and going linebacker? I don't see it. I see defensive line or offensive line. And honestly, I'd probably lean close to offensive line there. Maybe we'd take an offensive line with the 4th or the 5th, but
I'm gonna throw this at you here. And please help me, because you talk to John all the time, and both of you guys shut me down on this all the time. But I want to have some clear thinking on it.
All right.
So you're telling me if you lose Zach Bond, and you know you're not getting Dean back at least for a bit, and you don't have those 2 guys at linebacker, and if you watch this kid Campbell at the combines, and then you put his tape on, and it's the 32nd pick, you're telling me you're not fucking taking a guy who's the best player available at that position, and the only reasoning is because you're telling me that's not what they do? That's not a plan. That guy is the best. I'll tell you this kid Campbell is probably one of the top 15 players in the draft. And for you guys, but you're not saying it about your personal, you're saying that's how they do it, and I hear you. But to me, so you lose basically 2 linebackers, maybe Burks too. And the philosophy of the Eagles would be, fuck it, we don't do that.
You're
At
right.
32.
That doesn't sound right. When you frame it like that, that doesn't sound right to do it that way. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this. I just don't see him doing it. I mean, that's more what it comes down to for me. If you're asking me, I mean, shit, that's Brian Dennis Stadium up there. I cashed that pick in so fast, the NFL would be mad at me because they need more commercials and time to talk about it during the draft. I mean, I would take Giad Campbell. I mean, the other thing I love about him is he's so versatile. I could see Vic Fangio having a field day with him. I could see him making him, putting him all over the yard, rushing the passer, using him in blitzes, keeping him at line. I mean, he's a versatile player. And for anybody who's watched Alabama or SEC football or college football, I mean, you know how good this guy is. So, you know, I like the player a lot, but I don't know if Howie would go down that road. I really don't. I mean, you know, his instinct, I think, is probably the one spot on him that maybe you'd question a little bit. Not over the top, but maybe the instinct's a little bit there where you want to see a little bit quicker reaction time. But once he does react, he's got all the athleticism you would want to be able to do it. But I love the player. The way you pose the question makes me feel like I don't want him. I do. I just don't think the Eagles would do it.
No, I agree with you. I'm with you. I mean, it's their behavior.
Especially Sills, think about it. I mean, inevitably this offseason, no matter what happens, no matter if you sign back some guys, no matter if you trade for Myles Garrett, inevitably the Eagles are losing defensive linemen this offseason.
Yeah.
A good amount of them. So
I think there's a chance the Eagles could be the most devastated team, free agency wise, of any team in the league. That's a champ. That is a winning football team. I think Minnesota's going to lose some players. I think Kansas City. I saw they tagged Trey Smith today. So I didn't believe
they're gonna get a deal done with him.
I didn't think they were gonna let him walk. But look what I'm saying. Now let me show you this though. So Xander, today the Kansas City Chiefs tagged Trey Smith, not wanting him to get the free agency. When do the Eagles make a move on Bond? When do you have an idea? John's around it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Kansas City made a move today.
I know.
The Rams made a move today. The Rams made a move today to make sure Stafford's in the building.
I think what I just said is a big reason that they're going to sign Bond because they can't, with the holes that are already happening on the defensive line, they can't afford another goose egg at the linebacker position. They don't have enough assets to recoup. So if you think about it, if you think about this for a second, even if you, as it stands today, Brandon Graham presumably gone. Josh Sweat presumably gone. Milton Williams presumably gone. That's 3 guys on the defensive line. Well, no, I'm talking about defensive line.
Okay.
3 guys on the defensive line who are presumably out the door. So if you make a trade for Myles Garrett, okay, you got the edge rusher back. You're still missing an interior guy in Milton Williams and another edge rusher in Brandon Graham. So that's where I look at this and I'm like, boy, unless there's a player that blows this team away that falls, they're going to take their best defensive lineman on the board. I just think that's what they're going to do.
But I believe the Eagles feel this. If they get Garrett, I think they think Milton and Bond are replaceable.
Bond or Milton and Sweat?
If you got Garrett.
Oof. See, I don't think you want to go.
I
don't like that mentality because I've seen the Eagles have that mentality before, and it's cost.
I didn't say not replace him with Nick Bolton, though.
Well, that's a perfect world, though, assuming that we would get Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton's also on the open market. What makes you say that somebody's not going to pay him $8 million?
I believe he will be too.
So again, there's too many perfect scenarios here. You have the All-Pro in the room. Get him under fucking contract, and then if you go all out for Myles Garrett, you feel pretty good about whatever you have to give up to get him, because you know you got Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, Quinyon and Cooper back, and now Myles Garrett. Now I feel good about the defense. The rest you can fill in the pieces.
You know, I see Dodd down here because I brought this up last week. Why don't they just tag him? $27 million instead of worrying about
$27 million for Zach Bond?
Wait, but here you're saving money. You don't have to give a signing bonus and base.
Dude, 27
It's
million.
one. Wait a minute. Listen, though. It's cheaper. It's
How?
1 year. You're not tied to him. And get this. Here's what happens if you sign him to a 3-year contract. You're paying him a base of around $14 million. Then you got to give him 20. So you're paying him $34 million this year. Whereas if you give
That's
him,
not how it's going to be, though. That's not what it's going to be. Let me try and find who's a
But you're
comparable. Who's a comparable contract on the Eagles that would be what Zach Bond would get?
Roquan Smith.
No, I'm talking about a guy on the Birds.
Oh, there isn't one. Not on defense.
Not on defense, there's not. But if I looked at a guy like
Funny, they don't really have. How about this? Atlanta Dickerson's got a $20 million deal. A value of around 20 per.
see here, yeah, that's good. I think it's going to be less than that, though. I'm trying to find someone a little bit less than that. All right, let's just take Devontae Smith for an example. All right, this is why I don't think I can use that scenario. All right, you look at Devontae Smith, who's making more money, by the way, than Zach Bond would get. 3-year, $75 million extension. Now, this is a tough one because you worked in
And he's 25.
you worked in some other stuff, but his cap hit this year. Next year, 25 season, $7 million. The year after that, $10 million. The year after that, $14 million. So there's no way in no world are you going to pay Zach Bond and have a $30 million cap hit in year one. They're just not going to do it. It's a credit to the owner, Sills. He has so much cash he's willing to put in escrow for these guys that it allows Howie to manipulate the cap hits like crazy. So I can't agree that the franchise tag will be cheaper.
Okay, well, it's only 27. You pay a guy 3 years, and you're paying him a 3-year contract at 28 years old, you got to pay a signing bonus of at least $20 million. If you're going to be around $45 million, maybe $18 million. You're going to pay the guy in your $17 million plus his base. That's 26. And what the deal is, you're not tied into 2 extra years.
Bryce Huff. This is the right contract to compare it to. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But look, even Bryce Huff's contract, he signed last year as a free agent. So no previous extension here or no previous time here in Philly. His cap hit last year. Last year was $4 million. This year it's $7 million. And next year it's $11 million.
Back-ended it.
Back-ended it. Completely back-ended it. So if you do it with Bond, there's no way the cap hit's going to be close to that franchise tag. That's why the Eagles don't use the franchise tag, Sills.
That Bryce Huff contract just absolutely makes it sure and a slam dunk that Josh Sweat's out.
Yeah, imagine if you had a double-digit sack guy in Bryce Huff.
Oh, my God.
You wouldn't worry about Sweat at all.
But then, because you know why? You told him to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
And then you paid the other guy. And remember what Jason Cole said? You don't think Josh Sweat's looking at that guy being a rotation piece and not even active for the Super Bowl? He was the best player on the field. That guy makes $18 million. You told me to take a pay cut. Now you want to come back on a friendly deal for Philly? Fuck that. I'm out. I have no interest in that.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that. Xander, let's get to the supers here, brother.
Yeah, I gotta run here soon. Oh no, we don't have any. We don't. Oh well, I don't know. You got this one during Jason Cole. This your man's Daniel. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Steve was hilarious. Steve was hilarious today. Sills, I took Steve's wrench.
Don't take it personal, Steve. We're boys. We're good.
Right now, Steve's wrench got stripped like 6 months ago. I don't even remember when I did it. And he shows up like a week ago. And he's like, "Where the hell did my wrench go?" And now he's wreaking havoc in the chat. It's unbelievable.
Holy shit! Steve's treating that wrench like it's a pacifier.
Yeah, that wrench has superpowers, bro. That don't. I'm telling you, those wrenches got superpowers.
I can't wait to see how this thing. I can't wait next week, Xander. Those contracts better get on the table, bro, because then you got the longer this goes, the more chances those guys are totally going to. Do you think all 4 of them are going to be? All 3 of them, Becton, everyone. Do you think they're all going to be on the market after March 12th?
I do on. I think there's a better chance Becton or Bond hits the open market than Becton just because his agent's going to be like, bro, we got to test this. Yeah. Becton might be like, I don't really care about the open market. I want to get a deal done in Philly.
He made $20 million north of it guaranteed already.
I mean, I think he might be the guy who'd be like, I don't really care what the open market's going to give me. I want to stay here in Philly. If you guys are willing to get a deal done, let's get a deal done. So all 3, I think there's a good chance all 3 hit the open market, but we'll see what ends up happening. if Diana Rossini's right and we're tangoing for Garrett, we'll see what happens.
Look at him. I didn't mention this, Princess.
Prince says off-season sales is off to a slow start.
Wait, these aren't my takes.
There's There's highs and lows, Prince. When you reach the Super Bowl, the highs are high.
Hey,
brother.
Prince, I don't know what you're talking about. These aren't my takes. This is what's going on at the combines, kid. Hey, be careful, because you know what I'll do? I'll make sure you have your pardon rescinded. Okay? I'll make sure you send
Prince,
back.
Prince, he doesn't have that power. I will nix that. All right. I'll make a call. I'll make a call to the Oval Office myself. I'll kick Zelensky out of the room. Say, I got business to handle. Prince needs to be released. Don't worry.
Is that true that Trump kicked Zelensky out of the White House?
I don't know what happened. I was watching today. I love that shit. I find it so entertaining. Here's what I hate though.
You look like a scape. I thought he was a skateboarder.
We can't even talk about it on the show because people will get their panties in the chat. It's so funny. But
hey, Xander, I thought he looked like a skateboarder when he showed up.
Yeah. No, pretty funny. You know, that was I was joking in the chat. I'm like, Sileo watched Trump beat up on Zelensky, and then he decided to come into the chat and beat up on Steve. He said, "Steve, you're my Zelensky today." So he beat up on you, Steve.
Hey, folks, do me a favor. Make sure you give Xander a shout out for the gear he's got on with that top and that hat. I mean, that's dude. That is so. I've never seen that.
I showed you the. This is signed by Michael Ruzioni. See that?
Yeah.
That's the Miracle on Ice when they beat the Soviets, signed by Ruzioni. So pretty cool right there. We got that down in Lake Placid. All right, we got that.
Yeah, great stuff. Xander, let me go, bro.
All right, man. Peace.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you guys so much. That's great gear you had on too, man. I love it there. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you check out our friends at BetUS, man. Had a great season with them. They give you all kinds of options too on betting and looking at all the games like the NBA games, the NHL games. You got Major League Baseball coming around the corner here. Don't forget the YouTube 150. That's right. Signing bonuses up to 2K. Second and third are 125%. If you're into crypto, that's 200%. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sales, please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. So let me take a look at this here. Since 2000, let's go since 2000 here on draft picks here. And Steve, thank you. All right. Appreciate it very much. Steve, your boy. Thank you. All right. Since 2000, let's take a look here. I wrote down these are the best picks for Howie Roseman. You ready? Jalen Hurts, #1. Jalen Carter, #2. 2023. Steve! Thank you, Steve. Love you, Bobby. #3. Landon Dickerson, 2021. Devontae Smith, #4, 2021. No, the dog's name is not Steve. It's Stevie. Get it right. Stevie. Okay? And I got Cam Jurgens, #5. So since 2020, Hurts 1, Carter 2, Landon Dickerson 3, Devontae Smith 4, and Cam Jurgens 5. Stevie isn't taking Sill's shit. He never does. Okay? Believe me, this guy eats better than I do. I know that's hard to believe. There's not a male in our house that's underweight. So let me take a look at the shitty picks since 2020. 2024, Quinyon Mitchell, really good. Cooper DeJean, good. J. Hunt, good. Will Shipley, okay. So his first 4 picks were really good. Anis Smith, Trotter, could be something. Keegan, I like. Xander's boy, Johnny Wilson, it was there somewhere. It was not bad. It's not a bad draft, 24. It's actually exceptional at the top. The 23 draft. Here, I'm going to ask you something here. Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean. Do you like them? Do you like those 2 players? Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith. I'm awake, are you? Of course. Every year they're hurt. Of course. This guy likes injured players. Yes, I like them. They can play. Okay? Dean's always hurt. He doesn't have a high ceiling. Why? He's always hurt. Nolan Smith is always hurt. M. Reyes says they're solid players. I never said they weren't. Oh, I did. And Vic showed us they were. But one thing Vic couldn't stop us from saying, they are always hurt. So do you still like the players? You like always hurt players. They're not hurt sometimes. They're always hurt. Get this. That's right, Charlie. Showing up is half the job. So M. Reyes is okay with Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith showing up half the time. All right. I'm not. You can't build your team around that. You don't know when they're never going to be there. You can't build the championship football team around guys who aren't going to be available during the offseason. And you're lucky if they're available during training camp. These guys don't have high ceilings, I don't think. You're always hurt. Wouldn't it be great if Nolan Smith or Nakobe Dean got through a season where they didn't need surgery? Just saying. Get this. Dean played 15 games. Nolan played 8. Nolan didn't play 18 games. Nolan was available for 18 games. You get this. With always hurt, you drafted him hurt. Both of them. This guy's stupid. It's a stupid take. You drafted Nolan Smith with a shoulder injury, and you drafted Nakobe Dean with a shoulder injury. And every year they've been Eagles. They've been on IR. And Nolan Smith, went under the knife. The guy's not telling you the truth. It's not true. I mean, so you go into the draft, you got to get an edge rusher, you got to get a linebacker because you don't know what those guys and like I said, what Xander said with the signing of Bond, dude. Dean's hurt. Bond's a free agent. You need a linebacker, and Trotter ain't it. Trotter ain't it. How you doing? Tell you, man, the two Georgia guys are always banged up. Hey, by the way, let me get my stopwatch. I'm gonna set it here. Okay. It is almost 6 o'clock Eastern. There's no deal on the table for Zach Bond, Josh Sweat, and Milton Williams. When does that deal get put on the table? Kansas City went out and franchise tagged Trey Smith. Hey. Is Howie just going to show up 20th to 3rd hour? Here's the contract. Whoa, Prince. All season starting with a bang. Bang. Have a great weekend. We appreciate everybody. Big Z, Big Joe, thank you. God bless you guys. Have a great one. Hit the like button. We'll see you Monday 2 to 6, and we'll see you on the flip side.